In here. There you go. Good. There we go. Good evening, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to Splendid Isolation number 261. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Entirely my fault. I was having boomer tech issues, but I think they're sorted now. As always, give people time to join the stream. I'm going to start us off with a tune.
Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile, to serve your captives' need, to wait in heavy harness on flooded folk and wall. Your new God's sullen peoples have devil and have child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace, fill full the mouth of famine, and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, what's love and heed and folly, bring all your hopes to naught. Take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go make them with your living and mark them with your dead. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward. The blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of those ye humor are slowly towards the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, a loved Egyptian night? Take up the white man's burden, ye dare not stoop to less, nor call too loud on freedom to cloak your weariness. By all ye cry or whisper, by all ye leave or do, the silent, sullen people shall wail gods and you. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days, the lightly proffered laurel, the easy ungrudged praise. Come thou to search your manhood through all of thankless years. No age with give or wisdom, the judgment joy of peers. Take off the white man's burden through all of thankless years.
And that was, of course, the wonderful Chris Gard. If you like good music, go and check out Chris Gard's YouTube channel. And you can also follow him on X, on what used to be called Twitter, where we are also live. Sorry we started a little bit late this evening, ladies and gents. I was messing around. Bought a new headset the other day, but the buzzing noise that I sometimes get was worse. But thanks to my friends Mercy and Therium and Atom, and I think we might have solved that. If the buzzing is less, do let us know in the chat, guys, because I've been trying to solve that for
It's
weeks.
just a very slight sort of background little whine, but it's much better than it was.
Yeah, it was definitely, as one of you said, that I needed to lift my microphone cable up. I've got it hooked over my the remote control for my air conditioner. It seems to have improved it, so I shall leave it there. Anyway,
You've got air conditioning.
of course I've got air conditioning. I
The
live in
colonies of
Australia.
In Australia.
England's the only place in the world that doesn't have air conditioning.
This
Yeah,
is pretty much
he-
true. Yeah.
Duke's probably got like a couple. Was it huntsman spiders or something lurking in there as well?
No,
Yeah.
I honestly, the big spiders and the crocs and all the rest of it, you don't get many of those where I live, to be honest. And I've only ever seen probably 3 or 4 snakes in Australia in 25 years.
I've seen more than that in England.
Yeah, I saw snakes in England too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you don't. This is exaggerated. Australians like to exaggerate how dangerous the wildlife is here. I mean, yes, you get one person a year maybe killed by a shark, but then think of the millions of people who go in the water in Australia, and then you might get 1 or 2, and they're usually idiot tourists who get killed by a saltwater crocodile. But but all the spider stuff and the snakes and all the rest of it, it's somewhat exaggerated.
We should start doing that. It's making out as if our wildlife is very scary.
Yeah,
those
deadly badgers.
They'll maul your face off. Got to be careful of those.
Well, I mean, the most dangerous animal in Australia is, of course, the drop bears.
Oh yeah.
So many girl tourists have been frightened of over the years. There's no such thing as drop bears, I got to tell you. And koalas are not very fierce. I mean, they can scratch you. Don't get me wrong; they can scratch you. But
I have seen them attacking ladies and stuff, just hopping at them a bit. Now,
I remember seeing a clip like someone's like roadrunner birds that was like chasing a girl, like a little girl in Australia. I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, it's like kangaroos and
they can be dangerous.
Cassowaries can disembowel you, but it doesn't happen very often, I gotta say. Other than that, I don't know, really. I mean, it's like most animals in Australia are like most animals everywhere. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
I think, to be honest, I think it's the speed bumps you have to watch for.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those where I live because the area I live in used to be known for hoons. The idiots in cars doing donuts and all this kind of shit. But they put these speed bumps everywhere now, so you don't get them very much now.
Yeah, I think it's our roads that are more lethal than anything in Australia. Our potholes, they're the size of like Windermere. Some of them.
Oh,
yeah,
well, there's one at the top of my street actually. And when I used to pull out onto the main drag, it literally looked like a gravel road because this one section of the road had disintegrated so much. All this, all the gravel and rocks had come out of it and just strewn all across the roadway. It was horrific.
It's worse than ever. Like I went out for a drive the other month, and it's taken the tracking out of my car.
Jesus,
I've had to get realigned.
We don't really have we don't have potholes really now. They just turn into craters where I am. But the council does absolutely nothing, and they're just like these. I mean, it's not even a pothole. It's just the road. It's like an artillery shells hit it, and it's ridiculous.
And think how much money people pay in road tax in the UK. But of
Oh,
course, it doesn't. But it doesn't get spent on the roads. That's the thing.
I mean, the
Well,
council with like the you have like the council, then you have the town council tax, which is the highest in our region.
mm.
But
I
I
mean,
think
I've
it's
got
actually officially the highest.
I've got a Land Rover, but it's getting a bit old now, and I keep thinking about replacing it. And I did keep looking at an electric car as just a cheap
Short
runaround because I'm not
wheelbase
doing
or
the.
long wheelbase?
It's a Discovery 4, so I suppose it's like a long wheelbase. Um,
Cool. Yeah,
So it's
I love Land Rovers. They're great
yeah,
cars.
100-inch wheelbase. It's actually better for off-roading than even the 90 than 110.
yeah, and I kept looking at new Land Rovers, but I keep thinking, well, I don't do the driving anymore, so I kind of just want like a cheap runaround. So I was looking at electric cars, but it's like they've got all these drawbacks to them. Like you got to be careful about having the heating on and stuff like that because it drains your range, and with the cold weather in the winter and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And then on top of that as well, they're going to introduce like paper mile road tax on them to bring them in line with the road tax on regular cars. And then you're just kind of thinking,
And
well, what am I even paying for?
they burst into flames as well. I mean, quite frequently.
Yeah.
So you have to watch
Uh,
for that.
I mean, I've had a car catch fire on me before, so that doesn't really bother me that much.
as a
Alphabet Cat is asking, did the Hoons use souped top Holdens and full Falcons? Yes, they did.
Nice.
Someone also said, did I have a Ute? And yes, I did. I used to have a Toyota Hilux double cab, and I did about 18,000 kilometers through the outback and across the top end in that thing. So, yeah. Sorry, guys.
no, it's okay.
It's true about electric cars, by the way. They have so many faults. There is so many recorded faults in them. I mean, particularly I mean, you got like that's the parking sensors, but the fact that they just blow up, and because they rely on like lithium batteries and what have you. I don't know if people remember a few years ago, Richard Hammond on the Grand Tour had this huge accident in one of the
Mhm.
episodes, and where he went off the side, and the car caught fire on
Yeah.
like a couple
Yeah.
rolls,
Yeah, and
and
it was on fire for weeks.
it was on fire for weeks because it was literally taking one cell off after the other, and they just, I mean, I guess in that scenario, because water wouldn't do anything, maybe sand or something like that, I don't know, but there's
The,
nothing you
the
could do.
the thing about the exothermic reaction from lithium ion batteries when they get thermal runaways, they produce their own oxygen. So there's nothing you can do about it.
So,
This
so
is
I know.
this is why they're so dangerous on aircraft. Like you're not allowed to carry those things in passenger aircraft because they're so dangerous.
I know the flooding's a big danger with electric cars. So if you go through big puddles and stuff, that can cause problems. Which,
Yeah.
being England, the rainiest place in the world, it's not great.
Well, see, this is the thing that got me about it. It's like I was sitting there thinking, like, oh, I don't mind because it's just this basic runaround, and I might still get one, but it's just like they're really, really sucking all the advantages
Yeah.
out of it. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many disadvantages you've got to think about when you get one, and then on top of that, they're just going to tax you the same. So it's like,
Mhm.
what's
You,
the
you know,
point?
you know the you know
I
the best
wouldn't buy
car.
an electric car on principle. I wouldn't buy one on principle because I don't want to encourage these green bastards.
no,
No, no.
I am literally full. They don't even have to pay me. I'm for the big oil companies. I will stick by them just out of pure spite because the people who oppose them are the biggest bunch of divs on the planet.
Yeah, while we're on the subject, because this is kind of my area and everything. I hate the way that they promote electric cars. Like, oh, the technology so good. It's sort of like, well, number one, electric cars predate internal combustion cars because
Yeah.
we've always known how to make electric motors. Secondly, the technology in them, like having it heat up before you get in, you can, like, every bit of technology you put in an electric car outside. Well, you can even have an electric hybrid. You can put an internal combustion car, including having it heat up before you get in it. I know that because in the 2000s, my mate's dad had a Brabus that did exactly that, and all these electric car owners says, "Look, it heats up before you get in it." It's sort of like, this is not new tech. There's nothing in an electric car you can't put in an internal combustion engine car, including the electric motor.
But the
By
thing
the
is
way,
with
guys,
the preheated cabin is you can't even really use it on the electric car because it will ruin your range so badly. So like people that have them just don't even use it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say to our viewers, whether you're listening to this live or you watch it later, Mercian, who is our car expert, is working on a stream that we're going to do about the British car industry. So possibly as part of our history series, or maybe as a special. But I know Mercian is working on that. So if you're a rev head, you can look forward to that at some point.
Bring back British Leyland.
Actually, I'll predate British Leyland. Have them all separate from each other. British Leyland killed our car industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, you want Rover and Morris and Austin and Jaguar and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you want them separate and having all compete against each other properly, like they should have been.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, the road thing is just horrific. I mean, I was hiking in Italy year before last, and I did when I came out of the mountains. I remember I was like, I need to go to this bus station, but it's quite a distance away, and I was like looking at the both bus stops, and it was going to be hours before the next bus. I thought, oh fuck it, I'll just walk it. And I remember getting onto this old road that was like closed, and there were people like riding their bikes along there and stuff, and you could look up the mountainside, and there was like another old road above that, and another one above that, and then there was the new road right at the top. And when I got back out onto the main roadway and I was walking along, this guy like pulled over and he's like, "Oh, do you want a lift?" And I was asking him about the roads, and he said, "Oh, they because of the amount of landslides, they just rebuild the road like every couple of decades or so." So yeah, it's on like the fifth iteration, and they do that in lots of these locations in places like Italy because of the bad weather, and they're quite good at building mountain roads as well.
Where were you in Italy, Utman, if
I
you
was
don't
I was
mind
in the
my asking?
Dolomites.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, here every time I go across like a bridge or a viaduct of any kind or anything like that, I just look around and think like, we're never actually going to even build any infrastructure like this ever again. This town that I'm driving through at the moment is never going to see a new bridge, let alone like a resurfaced road. Like,
I mean, Rod Stewart went and just did it himself around his house, didn't he?
yeah,
He got some mates and just filled in the potholes himself because no one else is going to do it.
yeah.
It's terrible. We've got to go to libertarian sort of, we'll do it ourselves kind of.
While still being taxed for it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know I like to bring up my history and figures like Gildas and what have you, but in like post-Roman Britain. But I actually think that's how that happened, because effectively you had this, Roman bureaucracy just couldn't function, and so you had on like the sub level where you have like your regional kings like Dunnomia and all the other various and that just rose from like just people, locals, like in random towns and villages, that just said, that's it, I've had enough. With the aqueducts need to work, the roads need to be straight and proper and maintained. We can't allow you can't just like have council meetings and everything, and then just give like government garrison duties to these Germanic warriors. We can't allow this to happen. I think that's just sort of how that happened.
Well, there's just a lot of corruption around our tax system. I mean, it's not even, we'll call it road tax, but it's been called vehicle excise duty for X amount of years, and that's like, because all tax ends up in one big pot, and then the government decides how to distribute it. I mean, most vehicle excise duty gets spent on anti-car charities.
Yeah,
and also,
like council tax does more to resurface roads than vehicle excise duty has done forever.
And you've also got to have a big pot of money to pay for all those illegal immigrants and the legal immigrants who are on the welfare system and all the rest of it. That's the priority for the British government.
Well, they're a big reason why the roads are so bad. There's all these so many more people on all the roads. Then they're shit drivers. They also make the insurance more expensive.
Plus the vehicles are getting heavier because electric vehicles are heavier. All the safety that they have to put in modern vehicles. I mean, we touched on this a few streams ago about the safety that we're dealing with. I'd much prefer to have a car of the 20th century, a nice lightweight car of the 20th century, than a modern monstrosity.
I remember a former old CIA guy on Joe Rogan, and he's got some really old pickup truck with just no electronics in it whatsoever, and goes, "Yeah, no one's going to remotely control this, and then run me off the road."
Well, it's true. I mean, if you go old enough, like people talking about like a nuclear fallout and the electromagnetic pulse from a nuke, and it's sort of like what you want in that situation is a very simple vehicle with very simple electronics. You don't want it to have in it like a CPU to handle the fuel management and everything.
Yeah.
It's
and they've been doing stuff like that for quite a while, though. Like that. There was that. Was it something Hastings? That reporter who was digging up into stuff, and then his BMW just runs off the road one day.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting really bad now because like BMW is I think they already have, but like they're doing a subscription for things inside your vehicle.
Yeah.
Like,
Audi does as well,
and things like that.
Yeah.
There was a guy at my work. He bought a second. I mean, it's a bit of a Dino. He bought a second-hand Audi, whatever the hatchback is. Is it an A4? And he was like, the salesperson was like, "Oh, it's fully loaded," and he's like, he's a bit of a Dino. So, "Oh, mate, Audi fully loaded," and he buys it, and then it's like the adaptive headlights don't work, the heated seats don't work, and he has to pay a subscription fee through some Audi app to get it all working again.
Sorry, sir, your payment has failed. Your your brake subscription has not failed. Has failed.
We've got to put you on.
Don't forget, this is all part of you will own nothing. Everything will be on hire.
Yeah, it's reminding me of like Russia because I remember because you remember a lot of those videos of 15 years ago where it's just like Russian motorists. I mean, it's just they're absolute dicks towards one another. For example, don't use indicators. And I've noticed like the past 5 years, no one knows how to use an indicator because, well, I mean, it's like the worst offenders have to be the Indians. And if I see an Indian driving towards me, I'm like, fuck, I need to pray towards me.
I saw a clip this week from India. It was a coach crash, and it was like, the interior of the coach was filled like beyond its limits, and then you had people like obviously on top, and they had to bring it up, bring it back up, and it was just littered with hundreds of bodies of men and women who were just like squished into nothing near enough.
Oh yeah,
but the Indians think the more and louder you toot your horn, the safer you are. Isn't it?
Yeah,
that's most of the world. Like most of the world do not follow. Like even in Europe, a lot of Europe doesn't follow proper just road laws. Like the Italians are shit drivers, and it's basically just us.
But it happens in this country when they come over, though. I've the amount of times I've had like brownoids who like beep at me when I go around. We go around a roundabout, and like if you have to go straight ahead, there's lanes. There's lanes in the roundabout where I am. There's a lane in the roundabout. So if you're on the left-hand lane, it's usually going leftwards, or if you're in the centre, it means you're going straight ahead or around or what have you. And a lot of them, and so they just beat your horn because they think you're in like the wrong lane or something, or they're in the wrong lane.
Yeah, I know. I saw that one thing on Twitter recently where it's like some bus with a massive hole in it, and a kid went through it, like a 4-year-old kid, and
like in the floor.
Yeah, it was like on the floor, and like they don't arrest the owner of a bus company, or they arrest the bus driver, not the school who okay with it. Like the school who were okay with that school bus having a massive hole through which a kid got squished. No, they'll just arrest a bus driver instead.
And if the bus driver had kicked up a fuss, they'd just fire him. So, like, what was like the bus driver supposed to do?
Oh, I don't know.
Guys, I'm going to ask Adam first because he's first clockwise. Did you have a particular topic you wanted to talk about this week, mate?
So I did have a topic idea, but someone else asked me to bring this up instead. And it's actually kind of a little pertinent to what we've just been talking about, actually, which is that the BBC charter is out essentially, and they're basically going to the government and appealing to remain the British broadcaster, the state broadcaster, and to have certain changes brought in. And one of the big ones they want so the coverage of this by like the Mirror and the Telegraph and that is that they say they want the license fee scrapped and they want to instead have a sort of tax levied on everyone to cover it. And there are some weird articles where they have these promises where they say, "Oh, we could actually make the license fee cheaper if everyone paid for it." There's also some claims where they say, "Well, only 80% of the country pays the license fee, but 95% of the country uses BBC services." Well, the funny thing was, when I was trying to look up what the fuck this was about, everything that came up on the Google search result was just endless BBC articles. So yeah, I suppose technically I'm using the BBC services, but it's not through choice. It's just because it's literally the only thing that comes up because it's the state broadcaster.
Now, would they class like if like you go to a pub or something, and they have like a television or monitor in the background? Would they class that as well? Like, because of course, like people, if you don't pay your license fee, but you walk into a pub and you see the BBC there, and program.
They are very cryptic about what they mean by people using the service. I suppose like people that use the BBC weather app would be covered by that on their phones and stuff like that. But it's like, even though there are like free services that do that, basically, they're just interpreting Met Office data. But it's the thing is when you actually read. So I went and actually read parts of the charter. It's massively long and it's horrific. I searched for the word sustainable, and it's mentioned 130 times in the report. I thought I ain't reading all that, but I went and read some of the funding stuff. And actually, the funny thing is, when you get into it, they're actually not talking about scrapping the license fee. They want to keep the license fee, but also have a tax that supplements it on the side. And the thing is, as well, there's some really weird stuff in there as well. So there's one bit, if I can find it again, it's just down here, I think, where they're talking about their language, their language content, and they're saying, "Oh, the language content is the one that's really under threat."
Or like the BBC Pidgin. We can't lose that.
So this is the thing. They don't mention BBC Pidgin anywhere in the entire section, even though it goes on for pages and pages. They just keep talking about BBC Alba, Scottish BBC.
Yeah.
And they won't talk about how much they pay for this stuff. But it's kind of implied that like one large chunk of it is 97 million a year, and another chunk of it is 22 million a year. Now, I went and looked up the funding for BBC Pidgin. The BBC Pidgin apparently took like almost 300 million in funding.
I tell you, go if anyone's in like a bit depressed or something, go over to BBC Pidgin and have a good laugh. It's like it's like immedi poop poop and it's just like it's it's some of the most funniest thing you've probably ever read.
It's like if I was trying to be racist towards Africans, this is the voice I would use for them.
Yeah.
Well, I could save the BBC loads of money here because lots of AI programs are quite free, and you could get an AI to translate that for free.
See, the thing is as well, BBC Pidgin did actually do, I believe, a reading, like an audible, essentially like an audio reading of the Iliad. You can find this.
Yeah, therefore that thing.
And it's quite amazing, and it's almost done in like sing-song form as well. Like they've tried to keep with the poetic, epic sense of it. But it's
like that Helen of Troy, crazy bitch, shags a lot of men.
Oh, it's mad. It's mad. But they don't mention, funny enough, even though that like dwarfs the funding of any of their other language models, their language content, they don't mention it even once in the entire thing.
Well, I just think defund the BBC. That's what I think. It
Yeah.
should be defunded. It should be a subscription service, and you should have to sign up to it.
Does anyone here pay for the license fee?
No.
I can't remember the last time I watched TV, if I'm going to be honest. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
way
same.
before COVID.
Yeah, well, I don't need to pay for the BBC because I'm in Australia,
Yeah.
but the ABC here is also public funded, but it's just from tax money. But I haven't watched television for, I don't know, probably 10 years, 11 years, something like that.
But I don't think
I do pay the license fee, but you know, it's yeah.
Oh, you
And-
laying this side down.
I don't think the
And-
public, even people on the right, hated the BBC 30 years ago or so. It's just they hate us. Why the hell are we paying for it?
I mean, I say a bit of William Grenfell deepest law here. 10 years ago, I actually worked commission at the BBC.
Bloody hell.
I know. It's that's some deepest. I was BBC, then
Right.
ITV, then ITV again. Yeah.
Were you the pigeon translator?
Yeah, that's how I got my that's how I got my racist credentials.
It sounds like you really enjoyed that job.
Yeah. Listen, I this is before my road to Damascus conversion. You know, so you know you can't criticize me, guys. You can't. You were all blue pilled losers 10 years ago as well. So
Yeah.
You know,
I wasn't. I had my
Speak for yourself. Yeah, speak for your. I was never left wing. I was always right wing, even when I was like 17 or 18. I was a right wing. I mean, all right, I was a normal right wing, but I was still right wing.
I will say, some people are saying like have a look for old BBC stuff. I mean, most separate websites you can just find on the internet where it's just only fools and horses and all stuff like that. You can just find on separate websites dedicated to them. So I wouldn't
probably get a lot on.
sorry.
Half of Dad's army's on YouTube.
I was going to say, yeah.
People will ask. I didn't do news or current events. It was like game shows, like quiz game shows. Okay, but before people start,
boomer slop there, right?
I know. I even did. Which one could I? Deal or No Deal was the funniest one. That was the funniest one to be on. The arguments between the crew, and there was one guy, I think he lost like 42,000, and he had like a massive freak out afterwards in with his wife in the car park. She was absolutely scolding him. It was so funny. Sorry, anyway.
But I mean, I will say I was like a racist liberal like 10 years ago. Like I was a BNP fellow traveller, but I still had too many liberal hang-ups. But I find even now, if I go back and watch the old BBC stuff, I still just see loads of subversion in it. Maybe I've just gone down too much of a rabbit hole. But,
I actually tried to get myself on the Question Time panel with Nick Griffin. The member in 2000, I think 2009. I did try and get myself on the panel. Unfortunately, I didn't because they just busted a load of left-wing activists from Camden Town, Kentish Town, and all around that area, and Wimbledon and places like that. But I did try and get on that, and I was on a panel Question Time a few years later. And who was on that? Who was that former Lib Dem leader? Paddy Ashdown, that was it. He was on there. And I think it was Harriet Harman, someone like that. Some awful woman, god-awful woman.
The one who supported the pedophile information exchange.
Yes.
Harriet
I was 15 at the time, so I definitely went into the lion's den there.
Someone in the chat mentioned Mastermind when David Lammy was on. That's on YouTube. Go and look
Oh
that up.
God.
Go and
Yeah,
look
that's
that up,
so.
guys.
I will say,
Go
like,
and look
even
that up.
I will say, like, TV. I mean, even it was getting subverted by back. I know those Brookside that tried to do an incest storyline, but that got them cancelled. Then there was if anyone's ever watched Malcolm in the Middle, like that. I mean, it shows up even in the early 2000s that was trying to do the whole
Uh,
"oh, men are stupid" and or the father is the mother has to do all the work in the family. Blah blah
do
blah.
do you guys remember Skins at all? Do you remember Skins?
Oh, he's what's his name? Kaya Scott Alario, I think his name was. Yeah, that skins. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is my. I'm confessing eternal shames here. My sins of my past.
I'll
Um,
give you some bit of deep lore on that. I auditioned to go on Skins.
yeah, same, same. Same. And the girl that was it was I don't know which character it was, but it was I think it was like a younger brother of and it was like this girl was like a junkie. I mean, the most of them were junkies anyway, so it was it's not narrowing it down, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there's like pure just degenerate like liberal wank. Uh the only successful one I got was stage one was Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoats. That was until Joseph kicked me on stage. He sort of walked into me. I was a slave in the market.
Jesus. I mean, one of the ones I
Mi-
remember my grandparents liking was The Good Life. Someone brought it up again this week. I can't remember who it was, but and it's like even that, like I look at that and I just think like because that's kind of an attack on like British suburbia because of
Mm,
course that was like a convenient target because it was a product of light flight.
yeah.
my dad used to
Oh,
watch. My dad used to watch that. Adam.
Yeah,
Waterloo Road was one of the worst ones when it came to adult child. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. When you look at the older Waterloo, 'cause I never watched it, but I remember once my girlfriend at the time was really into it, and I remember watching episodes, and basically every teacher was just a cryptic paedophile. It was the whole storylines were just these crypto pedophiles, men, women, doesn't really matter, in relations with the children, and it was just I mean, Ofsted would have like a fucking field day with that school. And like I remember thinking News of the World at the time. This would be like pure tabloid sort of thing, but it's very weird. It's like it's like semi normalizing uh like in my mind I had this theory that it was to normalize like lowering the age of consent to like 13 or something like that. I
yeah,
always think that to that day it was like a way of normalizing it because you had the way you had so many teen pregnancies and everything else at that. This is like what the mid 2000s, 20 up to 2010ish, and I still
yeah.
think that to this day it was used as that.
Yeah, there was like a big thing about teen pregnancies, wasn't there, back then? And it's like,
Yeah,
as soon as they basically brought up the subject of teen pregnancies, the teen pregnancies have basically disappeared as a thing.
yeah.
Um,
The first major one, which it was talked about in Parliament, by like Tony Blair and his crowd, so you definitely knew it was astroturfed. Was Coronation Street, where one of the characters had a child at 13. And the thing though is, that, retrospectively, they make it sound like, oh, it was happening in the culture, and then Corey, talked about it, and then it sort of, became a conversation point. It actually happened the other way around. It didn't happen normally outside of, rape or something like that. It wasn't common, and then it became trendy because it was it was on a soap, and then it went to magazines and all the smut news outlets, and then it was sort of like not it was seen as like a transgressive sort of thing to do, and then it became popular in the culture through astroturf, artificial sort of programming in the sort of uh child population, which is really fucked up when you think about it like that.
But
Well,
when
I
but
do.
they always use that though, right? And I'm a bit older than you guys, so I remember when this was going on in the early days, and it was always used as a way of pushing birth control, abortion. Really, that was the
Yeah,
main
that's what I
reason
was
they
going to say.
pushed it. That's what they pushed it for.
The thing is with those sorts of things as well, like you get this with. I remember, like someone brought up, someone was saying something about, oh, can't we just go back to the '90s, like train spotting, and at least like get high on hardcore drugs? And it's like, drug culture now is significantly worse than it was in the '90s. And now you're almost like not allowed to talk about it. We live in this sort of age where it's like so post-truth. It's like, while something's actually an issue, it has to be ignored. And the moment it's no longer an issue, or it's like passed in the night, it's suddenly now okay to all sit around and sort of solemnly have all these talking heads like solemnly nodding their head on TV talking about how big of an issue this is. Yeah, another version of this I saw today, which kind of goes into like the whole media apparatus, and because a lot of the articles around the BBC thing was like, oh, in this age the BBC is more important than ever. They were spurging out about like 30% of kids, Gen Z boys, having like misogynistic views, and it's like their thought process is that this is like white boys, but of course it's not. It's just another indication of like demographic change.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Also, what they call misogynistic these days is not actually misogynistic at all. Like anything that
But
is
yeah, it's
not
like bog
totally
standard views from like 50
pro-feminine,
years ago.
yeah, anything which is not totally pro-feminism is misogynistic now.
Yeah.
but
yeah. It's like
the current
oh yeah, it's like if you expect like saying, oh yeah, your girlfriend ought to dress in a way that she knows that you like. That's apparently misogynistic. To
Yeah.
I mean, the current thing at the moment in like the I guess you say like the media sphere in this country is incel, because it's one thing actually. I don't think the BBC or the BBC types, ITV channel, or have actually identified what that is. I mean, you got Ross Kemp, who's done like an 8 episode sort of deep dive into it, and it's quite interesting because when they don't know what it is, or it's hard thing to define, they sort of become this, like they come like really autistically obsessed with trying to identify it and then spin it as like, what is it really like? And um I mean, I would say a lot of incel stuff. I mean, if I'm honest, a lot of it is just larpiness. People just sort of pretending to be one, to edgy sort of behavior. And the rest of it is just people who just all out hate women because because, as I stated before, because they don't behave like men. I actually, and I do think that
I
involved
don't see this, William. I've got to say, right, I see very few, even young men today, who hate women.
Are you on
There,
4chan?
I think no. Well, yes, actually, I do go on 4chan and 8chan occasionally, but I will just say this: that most of the young men I talk to, and I talk to a lot because, like, everyone in my Discord, for example, is younger than I am, which includes you lot. And I just say this: I don't see this hatred of women. What I do see is some men have a certain resentment about the way modern dating goes, particularly
Yeah.
online dating, swipe left, swipe right, and all that bullshit. And how, all women are only chasing about the top 20% of blokes in terms of income and how
yes,
tall
yeah.
they are and all that. And of course, that's fucking ridiculous. Most of these women are fucking deluding themselves that this top 20% of blokes will even look at them.
But the thing is, Duke, when I've been doing my deep dive into the Epstein files, and as you mentioned, because Epstein was a big pusher of things on 4chan and 8chan, there's hundreds of emails from him talking about his time on 4chan and particularly the poll messaging board as well. I actually think that the incel stuff is also largely astroturfed as well.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the dialogue around that is largely astroturfed, because
You do.
again, the only person I know IRL who is like, or who I know somewhat IRL, who is genuinely incel type, he's just straight up got Down syndrome and is autistic.
Yeah.
Which yeah.
The internet has the amplifying effect too of, you get there's not many of them, but then they can congregate in the same places online, and so they all think there's way more.
And the thing is, you had, because again, 4chan, 8chan people on there used to be really like edgy and make all these sort of like transgressive sort of type of jokes. They're like Messiah, the incel Messiah is, of course, Elliot Rogers, the guy who went on a mass shooting and because girls wouldn't talk to him or something like that. And I think what you have is like astroturfed propaganda and astroturf propaganda from two different people that end up like talking to each other. And it's kind of like, how when you have a supposed terrorist incident in America, and it turns out like one set of guys involved are CIA agents and then the other set FBI agents. It's kind of like that in some ways. It's kind of like they sort of create their own sort of nonsense.
Well, how often do you guys watch Paul Joseph Watson videos? Because Paul Joseph Watson talks about Ross Kemp doing one of his gang series on incels, and he did an interview with like one of these liberals.
Incels are the very opposite of gang. These are loners for the most part.
This is what Ross Kemp found out. I'll link the Paul Joseph Watson video in the Discord so people know what I'm talking about in case they don't want to watch the actual video. But Ross Kemp was interviewing one of these sort of BBC liberal types, and he says, "Well, how many deaths are related to the incel gangs?" And he was like, "Oh, 5." What, this year? Like, no, ever.
What? Just in England? There's like just in England? No, the entire world.
Yeah.
Woodpit in the chat is saying Fuentes laughs as one. I presume he means an insult, but isn't really. I think Fuentes is just gay, frankly. But I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean there is that sort of strain of online subculture where people like to sort of become part of the outgroup thing. Same as all the people on the dis right that are like, "Oh, I'm autistic," You get. I mean, there are a lot of autists on the right, but you also get this thing where you get people like they do the whole true self thing or fake self. Like I remember Giant Geo getting called a fake self because he got a girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean the thing though is that most of them are fake cells. I mean, even Fuentes himself is a bit of a fake cell anyway, because he gets like he's had women attention. I mean, the worst ones is when you have like I remember there was documentary.
William, has he really had female attention? I know he had a Catboy boyfriend, but I didn't know he had any.
Yeah, there's been women who've been interested in him.
Yeah, there was one where he was doing a street interview and they were just like she was kissing him like all over his cheeks and face and everything. Anyway, that was that's why that was the one where people just like lambasted him as fake cell. They just called him like a traitor, and people generally like spurred out over that. His own fans and everything, which is quite funny.
Let me be clear about this, guys. You can't be right wing or a traditionalist if you have a woman, because that would kind of seem to go against being right wing and being a traditionalist, actually. But yeah.
I mean, if you're a monk, I guess if you become like a monk and I guess there are like opt-out options.
What you mean young boys? Yeah, I guess.
I like I said, I mean, with the point that Mitch made earlier, about you're misogynistic if you like your girl to dress in a way that you find feminine and pleasing. What about all the women who buy their men ties or other clothes? Because 100 years ago, women used to get their blokes clothes. and ties and things like that. So was there something wrong in that? There's such a double standard today between what women are allowed to do and what men are allowed to do. I think that's where some of the resentment comes from, is that men are not treated the same as women. We're actually treated in an inferior way.
Yeah, I know. One thing that irritates me is like you get a lot of women, including the OnlyFans whores, who will say, "Oh well, they basically want a cottagecore lifestyle," but then they'll shit on men for actually being masculine, and it's like, well, which is it? You know,
I mean, one of the things is the women who push all this stuff. They're fat, ugly bitches, and they would be in the past. They'd be the natural mates of the incel types, like the bottom 10%, 20% of men. They would be the natural matches, and they know it. But now these fat, ugly bitches think they deserve better, and that's the problem. So they've got to push, trying to make everyone as ugly as them, lower the ceiling.
I mean, that's true. The whole of society for a while now has been totally feminized, and masculinity, which, in my mind, historically speaking, has actually been a total force for good for men. It's actually taught men basic things like control, duty, responsibility, honor, actually being truthful. You know, um, I've noticed, and this is something I was going to sort of maybe do a stream or do a write up on this, but in my workplace, you have, when you, like, every year you have new generations of people who enter the workforce. I've noticed you've got, and I don't know if this is a legacy of COVID, but you've got women who are incredibly socially awkward now, who are entering the workforce, and as well as men who can't communicate, are very socially awkward to be around, have very poor interpersonal skills. Like, I mean, I thought I'm bad, but it's beyond like levels of just normal shyness. It is like borderline autistic in some ways, but these are just normal. They're just normal people, and this is something I've noticed more and more often, that like last year and now this year. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that as well.
I know
people like 18, 19-year-old sort of thing.
Yeah, I know autistic girls seem especially vulnerable to the transgender stuff. I think it's basically all of them end up going down that rabbit hole, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, for women, I think it's more common for the men than there is for women. I mean, it's been notable, but I think women are more social creatures anyway.
Yeah.
Compared to men, so that's why. I mean, for a woman, if you're socially awkward as a woman, I think that's that's a terrible situation to be in, because you are just isolated no matter what.
And then other women will be brutal to you, like all growing up.
Yeah. It's be like the most ruthless sort of cycle to be in.
Yeah.
But for men as well, it is a real tragedy. And the thing there is, you have you do have effectively, I mean, I don't say just a generation of just total pussies who have any zero level of masculine trait or even self-respect. I mean, forget about masculinity; it's about self-respect as well. And the thing there is, it's about I mean, again, a lot of them just don't stand up for themselves. They just do not stand up for themselves. A lot of them, and this is the thing. This is where it comes down to it. Women will try and use you. I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing or whatever. But at the same time, you do have to be mature enough, and this is where the masculinity comes from, to actually know when to put your foot down and not give in to those urges. And that's totally fine to do that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't. I always think you should put your foot down when they're trying to take advantage. You should be able to tell when they're trying to take advantage of you as well.
Well,
you've got to learn. You've got to learn as a man to say no to women, even if she's your girlfriend or your wife. sometimes you have to say no to her.
Yeah,
No.
it's
I
a
mean,
bit
Yeah.
different. It's a bit difficult saying no to your mistress when she could like blow up your family.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. I said your girlfriend or your wife, William.
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
making. So
But it's
I'm making
Oh,
it
okay.
to make it a joke. I'm
Yeah.
making
No,
it.
I see what you're saying. You're being
Yeah,
funny.
yes.
but you can
Yeah.
but you can imagine if you're one of these, these guys don't really stand a chance, and you get these predatory pretty girls who know they can take advantage of that. It's so easy for them, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Yeah.
the main
women
difference.
will always shit test you, right? If you're a bloke and you've got a girlfriend, and it's usually a girlfriend because by the time you marry her, she knows you a bit better, right? Hopefully. But women will always shit test you as a man,
I'm not
and
even
they want you to say no.
I'm not even talking about that. Like I'm just talking about the women who have no intention of ever doing anything. It's just I can take advantage of this fat loser. I'll flutter my eyelashes at him, and it's very
Yeah.
tough for these guys.
Yeah. And you have to say no to that. I mean, but that's
Mhm.
something you learn as you get. I would say you have to be at least in your early 20s. If you're in your early 20s, that's something you have to start doing now. Teenage years you could probably get away with. 20s, yeah, because otherwise just you just end up just becoming like the worst simp on the planet, basically.
Also, don't forget, women mature earlier than men do. So most women of say 19 are more grown up than most men of say 21. They are. They're
Yeah.
more savvy. They know what's going on more. And these days they've probably got a much higher body count too. But but women mature earlier than men. So
So
if you're a bloke of like 21, don't think because some chick is 19 or 20 and therefore a little bit younger than you, she's going to be stupider than you. She's not.
well, in the other part of it, I mean, like I understand the Zoomers are probably the generation that's had the least sex of any of the living generations, from what I've heard. They're having sex a lot less.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, it does seem to be that way. And there's also, like, I mean, on the right particularly, there's this strand of Puritanism that one sees. And, we used to get the old white Sharia memes and that sort of thing on the right. None of which I think is very useful to us, really. I don't.
Mhm.
We're not a Middle Eastern culture, and I don't want us to be a Middle Eastern culture either. But that's not to say that I like OnlyFans, whores, or thoughts. I don't. But on the other hand, let's be real; these are Western women. They're not Middle Eastern types. But yeah, there is that Puritan strand on the right,
Yeah.
which is not always helpful, in my opinion.
I think all we should enforce is just monogamy. Really, I don't think we need to be any more puritanical than that.
No.
I do think to be right wing in the current age, like to be actually genuinely dissident right, like to be like the most, say the most outlandish things out there, you have to be on somewhat of the fringes. And of course, a lot of it attracts people, particularly, relatively recently, in recent years, it became, it became trendy to be on our side of things, particularly against when we had all like the woke BLM nonsense and stuff, right? It became trendy. And unfortunately, you then have people who are particularly like ethos and everything. So I've noticed like in the last few years, you had like more uptick in what you could say like ethos types and then other types of grifters, and who then like flood the space, and then the space doesn't become cool, and then people move on to something else. That's usually how trends tend to work. And I think a lot of the right wing reaction to stuff like that is just the fact that they see, um, you know, pause. on their side of things. It's like,
Yeah,
hold on, yeah.
You know, you're talking about your Lauren Southerns and all this kind of sort of person.
I mean, also, I mean, not just that. Like, I mean, I remember when you had like the Republican Party. There was like a Republican Party gathering a few years ago. I remember because it was Cringe Walker, who was our streaming at the time, I think mentioned it, and I looked. He said, "Oh yeah, they've like got like the main speaker is like this porn star," and I was like, "Oh, that can't be real.
Yeah.
That must be like a
Yeah.
joke." And it's like, "Oh no, actually it is." And oh, she's actually like got promotional tips at the event, and I was like, I was just like, okay, what, you know, okay, so the sort of family values, this sort of Christian nationalism, like where the fuck is this gone out the window? I mean, it's like we've gone from the most like pure divine sort of style government to Sodom and Gomorrah in like 10 seconds.
Well, I think Dissident Right makes a good point here. He said it may just be a function of getting older, but most 18-year-olds look extremely young to me. And I'm sure the Dissident Knight is talking about young men. And he's saying almost like they're hormonally stunted. And yeah, go look at photographs of your ancestors in World War II of 18, 19, 20. And they definitely look more grown up than Zoomers do today. Without a doubt, they do.
Yeah, I'd say, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I got, look, one thing that irritates me. So, you know, I'm 25 next month, and like I mean, and he's like, yeah, I look my age. I mean, some people say I look slightly older, but there are plenty of people my age or younger who they look like they're just entered adolescence, and I don't know what it is. It's just a matter of you just. I mean, I remember seeing one like woman who ironically was in the police, and you look at her and you go, she's 18 or like 19, something like that, but you'd think she looks like 11 years old, and you never think, hey, bloody hell, I'm meant to take her seriously. Well, never mind the fact that never mind the fact that I don't even believe in women being in police anyway to begin with.
I'd say this to you, Mitch, that if you look a little bit older than your age when you're in your early 20s, you will often find that you keep your age far better when you're in your 40s. You won't look as old as some people do, because that's what I've usually found, is if you look a little bit older than you really are, you'll often stay looking like that for longer. So it's a swings and roundabout thing, and you'll probably gain in the long run.
Yeah, another thing I've heard is like we Zoomers are going to age probably horribly compared to the millennials, because at least the millennials, I mean, yeah, like let's say someone out of Mercian's age group, you know, they got to enjoy some things before everything went to shit, basically. Whereas we Zoomers, we're growing up in a world that's just shit. So it's like so you know, people talk about what's her name from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown. She looks like she's just entered her 40s, even though she's like 21. Because of like the way the makeup does things and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
you said that so scathing. Someone of Mercian's age, you got to enjoy his life with one time. Like, sorry.
But Mercian, we haven't mentioned your new nickname once, and I'm not going to here either. Okay. I just want to say Michael K. 19th Century Fan 10 is saying this happens because of the top Zoomer men getting all the women, combined with Zoomer women choosing older men with more resources. This is true, Michael K. 19th Century Fan, but younger, pretty women have always done that. They've always gone for older guys with more resources. This is not new, okay?
And on the whole, 18-year-olds looking younger, on a lot of generations looking a lot younger than they used to be. I mean, even some people in their 60s don't look that old these days. And I wonder if is that better living, not smoking.
Well, conversely, I think you see a lot of Gen Z and stuff aging horribly. They sort of just, some of them are aging awfully.
Yeah,
they'll be like. Yeah, like I mean, like Bonnie Blue, she's 26, and like we said last week, Oh, we all thought she was like 40 or something.
Yeah, when I was,
I don't get that woman,
No.
Tara. Honestly,
Well,
when I was 35, right, I wouldn't have touched that woman with a 10-foot steel tip barge pole. I gotta say, really, I wouldn't have.
When I was 27, I used to get age checks, like when I was like buying alcohol at Sainsbury's or going out, even going out to like clubs and stuff. I remember having this conversation. There's like this one girl couldn't believe I was like, well, how old I was 28 at the time. She couldn't believe I was 28. She thought I must have been like at least 19 or something like that. So yeah. I had a very like without the beard and mustache. If you look at my profile pic, it's basically just like a sketching of a painting of that, but without the beard and the mustache and what have you. I looked very young.
Yeah,
at the time.
I had the same problem.
Yeah,
I'm glad that.
When I joined the army when I was 18, I grew a moustache mainly to make myself look older.
It does help.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it was also quite fashionable in the army at the time. There were a lot of soldiers with tattoos, but
I still can't grow what I'll dub the Charlie Chaplin mustache if I wanted to.
I eventually had a bloody Mexican thing going, you know, like you see some of the SAS guys used to have in those days. Not that I was ever an SAS guy, because I was not. I was just a basic
I grew
squaddy.
a mustache over lockdown, but I've never really liked it. I've still got it. I haven't brought myself to shave it off. But it's not quite as thick as I would like.
I'll give you a scary one, guys. Right? When I left the military, because when I was in the military, we still had the old traditional rules that in the army you can have a moustache, but you can't have a beard. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the Navy, you can only have a full set, which is a beard and a moustache.
Yeah.
You can't just have a moustache. I think they've now changed them because, of course, they've just ruined the British Armed Forces. But in those days, that was the rules. And so when I left the military, I grew a beard. I grew a goatee, which I still have. And because I don't like a full beard, it's too itchy, particularly in the summer. It's too hot, particularly if you live down under, you know. And one day, the late love of my life asked me to shave it off because she'd never seen me without it, and I did, and she cried.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So I grew it again anyway. But
yeah, if you go into a relationship and you've got a beard, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Guys, let me do a bit of channel admin, and then we'll move on to Merthin's first topic, because we've only done one so far, and we're well over an hour. Bit of channel admin, guys. Please like the stream. Hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel. Takes about a second. Doesn't cost you anything. And if you are also, of course, subscribe to the channel, that helps. And you can, if you want to support the channel or to ask the panel a super chat question, you could do so via Entropy. I am happy to say we've already got 3 Entropy chats, which we will address towards the end of the stream. And if you want to do that, that is pinned at the top of the chat on YouTube. So yeah. And on that note, I'll say, Mercian, did you have a first topic for this evening?
Oh, hang on. Sorry, before we move on to...
sorry, big one.
Just quickly. So one of the things I was asked about the BBC thing before we did all that was, if you had the opportunity, you know, let's say you're a based incoming government, let's say fantasy football, you're a Restore, right? Would you capture the BBC and turn it, or would you throw it into the fire and destroy it? I think it's too powerful of an institution to put to waste. I'd turn it. But...
Yeah,
I'd destroy it. I'd burn it.
Yeah. I was better say, Tharium, that ring should
go
as far as Mordor.
It does involve firing every single person there. You fumigate the building, make sure there's none of their lice or anything still lingering, then just get your people in.
Grenfell,
I mean,
inside knowledge.
I mean, just think about it. We could, the Splendid Isolation, 8 o'clock every week, every weekend, pumped in there. I mean, I'd keep the BBC and just like spin it. And the thing is,
would you fund it, William? You see, I wouldn't ban it. What I'd do is I'd make it a subscription service. You had to subscribe. That's all what I'd do to it.
Well,
and
if
it would become as small as that would make it become.
But if it's pumping out our propaganda,
well, yeah. The thing was, you would need the BBC to counteract the shitlibbery of the previous, like, people, the diehards from the previous regime. If you're talking about a genuine change in society where our guys are in power, like total power, we would need the BBC to pump out our own propaganda. I mean, imagine when you do a docudrama series, like take the William the Conqueror, that William the Conqueror 1066 one. Imagine if we had imagine like Mitch or someone like that was like there directing, or someone like that, one of our guys actually directing our own version of it, and how incredible that would be with all the money and resources that are available. And also, not to mention the BBC archives as well, which make up like just countless archival footage from, well, not just BBC but from other people over the years that has been donated and what have you.
But you can keep those, William, without funding the current BBC. See, I reckon to get rid of every single person who works in the BBC, and whoever said, you've got to kill everything there in case there's any lice hiding in the corners, you've got to get rid of everyone from the director to the lowest clerk. Every single one of them needs to be sacked.
Yeah. But I mean, the problem is, if you were to go in and just get rid of the BBC, like, you could do that. But the problem is, what about all the sub companies that operate within the BBC?
Mm-hmm.
What about the likes of Channel 4? I mean, I would say Channel 4 are probably more destructive than the BBC.
Oh no, I'd get rid of Channel 4 too. I mean, that would go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Channel 4 is usually one worse. And then you got ITV and Sky. They are independent, but again, they push a similar agenda. And then what about Netflix? I mean, Netflix, you have that bloody Bridgerton, which I have heard of another word for it as well, beginning with N. Anything.
I think we can get what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. And just like, sort of just totally corrupting Regency. You would have to just basically just ban all media, like just ban television and just ban everything.
Listen, you've got to make everything subscription model so that people have to buy into it. And then I'm sorry, if people are going to buy shit like Netflix, then there's not much you can do about that.
But the thing there is, companies, people make films which are not profitable anyway, and because they have the publishers, which are the ones that just pay them. I mean,
Disney did that for a while.
Yeah, Disney did for that for a while. That's the problem. Unfortunately, I remember you had the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro's lot. What was it? A few years ago, just says, "Well, that started the whole go woke, go broke" type. And the thing is, that doesn't even work when you have big multinational publishers like Warner Brothers, like Disney, even like the BBC, for example. Okay, you don't watch their shows. It doesn't matter. They still get paid at the end of the day, and their actors and their top directors and script writers are all ring-fence pay. So they can make nothing. There's a film. One thing I can tell you, there is a film that's coming out. It's a relatively small indie film. You see it get promoted on Facebook and everything, and particularly among the boomers. I think it's being promoted on GB News and what have you. The film director didn't pay any of the debts, and him and his company, which he set up for the film, just went in liquidation. They just went, and then they would open up another production company when they want to do something else. And this is a very common practice. It should be illegal. I think that practice should be illegal, but and in other countries it is illegal. But it is what it is, and this is where the media machine in this country is. It's you could say, oh, we'll ban this, the BBC or something, but the problem is it won't have any effect. Okay, you haven't got the BBC there, but you'll still have all the you know the crap, the anti-white crap from Hollywood and elsewhere
William,
permeating in the system.
William, I don't know about anyone else on here, but I haven't heard anybody, and I'm certainly not saying ban the BBC. I'm just saying defund it, so that the BBC will have the money for the people who want to sign
Yeah,
up
but
to it.
what he's saying is is they don't actually care about making money though.
No.
Like
But the thing about the BBC that they used to trot out is the good thing about the BBC is they could make niche programs, like they could make a program about model trains because other places wouldn't dare to do it because it might be a money loss. The problem is that's
now Mercy, and if they make a film about model trains, it will feature immigrant people who like model trains.
I mean that's part of it, but like it's now even without the diversity issue with let's wave a magic wand and BBC doesn't have a diversity issue and it's right,
and it'll be presented by a woman, and probably a woman of Indian or African extraction.
Yeah. Well, actually, take the William Conqueror one. That made no money. The people who would watch a show like that, a drama like that, is people like us. You had Game of Thrones actors on there. It would have been it would have been us.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's an outdated institution because now we've got places like YouTube. Like the BBC doesn't need to exist anymore.
One of the things, in the charter actually that they talked about is they want to expand their streaming services massively so they can compete with Netflix.
Yeah, they want to go. They want to close down iPlayer and move to YouTube.
And they actually, mentioned YouTube as well directly.
Guys, how about instead of having, if you had say a base Restore Britain government, a Rupert Lowe headed government, how about you bring in rules that not only do you get rid of obviously all the diversity bollocks, but you bring in rules that anything that is historical about Britain must be, 95% white British actors.
Well, this is the thing, like every regime needs its propaganda. And the BBC, if we took it over, is a good vehicle to launder whatever propaganda we wanted.
I mean, you would have, because we have something called the Minister of Culture, Media and Sports, right? That was created by Tony Blair to basically enforce diversity. So what? And actually, interesting, you've all seen the film El Cid, right? I think you must have seen it. Everyone must have seen it on. Yeah, the one with Charlton Heston, right? The Spanish government, because they filmed in Spain under Franco, the Spanish government made sure had to basically agree on the final edit in some capacity, and also certain things like locations. They said, okay, you can film here, you can do it, film in Spain, but here are the conditions. And you basically couldn't have any like pseudo commie egalitarians or commie socialist talking points or something like that in it. Now,
guys, Yennefer in the chat is saying, "Is there no Iran war talk?" Now, I'm going to say two things to you here, Yennefer. First of all, this is mostly an American and Israeli war. It's not a British war, and we mainly cover British and Old Commonwealth subjects. So we mainly talk about stuff from Britain, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. But we may talk about it from a British point of view in due course. But I have to tell you, we're at 1 hour and 18 minutes, and I haven't got people off BBC yet. So, I'm trying.
It's a big topic.
I don't know. I'm sick of the BBC. I was sick of the BBC 15 years ago. I don't know about now.
Well, but this is the thing. Like, I think one of the things that the libertarians get right is that if you have like an institution like the NHS, even if you try to set it up with all the best of intentions, it ends up just becoming this, right? but at the end of the day, also the BBC's like it's almost has too much potential to just be left as it is. I kind of sometimes think, oh, if you ever think of something as a solid law, it's probably just a failure of imagination. I think there has to be a way to make to be able to capture, retake, and make the BBC an explicitly right wing institution that
Can we do
outlives
that with Oxford and
subversive forces within the
Cambridge?
government.
Adamant, do you think we can do that with Oxford and Cambridge universities?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then if we can do it with them,
maybe not Cambridge, but we could with
maybe we can
Oxford.
do it with the BBC.
Yeah.
I mean, the Restore Britain, if it was to do like you would have to have. So Restore Britain would have to have in like base government. You would have to have many intellectuals. You'd have to have literally have people from all aspects of the elite in Britain who are intellectuals, who are university types, who are media types, people like that in the party. And this is where it comes down to the quality of people in the party. I mean, like, for instance, I think we need more military types in the British establishment than we have now. I think we need more people from business and industry. I mean, not, and I don't even mean, when I say business industry, I don't mean the paper industry of trades and financial services. I think we're over-indexed with those types, and that brings its own problem. We actually need like proper people in industry who make goods, physical, real goods.
Right. Can I ask? Richard Phillips is saying Lowe is a libertarian. He's not going to be banning anything like that. Is Lowe a libertarian? Because he's not, as far as I know. But is he?
Financially,
libertarian-
socially, not so much.
Is he a bit? I thought he was a bit of like a Thatcherite sort of
Yeah.
economic Thatcherite type.
Even if he was a libertarian, why wouldn't he make the BBC a subscription service? Because that would be the libertarian thing to do.
Mm.
But I don't.
Yeah,
Really
it would, because
one of his
they get the
key
money of
points
people who want to play it.
One
I mean,
of his
he
big
talks
key
about
points that he said was that Britain isn't an economic zone,
Mhm.
and
he
he's
kind of specifically counter signals Thatcher on that, I suppose.
and also like on the whole banning stuff. I mean, he talks about banning kosher and halal every 5 seconds. So he is up for banning that.
Yeah, I think
And the
he would
burqa,
probably
and the
see.
burqa.
I think he would probably see like banning everything except the BBC is probably a bit too much for him. But it's oh, hang on.
You can contrast his stance on the trans stuff with like Trump, because Rupert Lowe was saying that it's all going to be completely banned, and any doctors who have participated in it will be prosecuted and lose their medical licenses. Trump, on the other hand, is like, well, if the parents say it's okay, shop away.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, and it's like I don't know. It's like on one hand, it's like I mean, especially with something like with an institution like the BBC, like it's
it's more difficult 30 years ago because it genuinely felt like a real institution that actually served the British public 30 years ago. It just doesn't anymore.
No,
I'd
say Mercy, and I'd say more like 40 years ago. But yeah, okay.
I mean, there's some talk within like the right wing spheres, for example, that like within the American sphere, sorry, that the right is really bad at making media. And I think that if you had a more if you had the more market friendly option, which is just that you retake the BBC, but then you still make it compete against other TV services. But I think that's largely a product of the BBC being the right being shackled to like to Zionist interests essentially still. If we look at the examples of like right wing media, we're talking about things like Ben Shapiro's operations and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Adam, and when you're saying about the right's not good at making media, the right has been discouraged from going into the arts generally, but also all of media for the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, but even then, even if you just take it on like an authenticity perspective, like there are some banging people out there. Like, let's be honest, Tom Rousel would make a banging BBC documentary, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Neil Oliver, when he was making
Mm.
documentaries,
yeah,
were always top quality, and I think he did it for the BBC. But
Yeah.
then when he jumped to GB News and started doing his stuff there, and then he got too esoteric for them, and it sort of scared the boomers because he was sort of going into very like deep, esoteric, right wing,
And
metaphysical.
he didn't like the lockdowns and the compulsory
Yeah,
jabs and the rest of it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and freaked him out a bit. On Richard Phillips in chat though, I don't. When it comes to the whole Rupert Lowe actually saying banning kosher and halal, it was in a select committee meeting, which you can find online, where he actually does like physically. He does actually say it. He says, I think it's called like 2-tier meat system or something, 2-tier meats or something like that, and he actually does like say, yeah, the words if you want, if that's what you're referring to. I don't know.
Alan Bastard in the chat is saying, can't we just sack the bad elements within the BBC rather than ditch it? There is a BBC charter book out. Those who don't respect it. Listen, Alan Bastard, we actually talked about this, and you'd have to sack everyone.
well, yeah, you'd need
Everyone.
a proper
You,
fire and brimstone
you,
guy
you
in charge of the
couldn't
BBC.
even. I reckon you'd have to sack the cleaners. Never mind everybody
You would need
else.
to be. You would need to make getting a good guy into the BBC as high of a priority as any of your top guys in the cabinet. But that is doable. I mean, I'll do it. I've fired people. I didn't lose a wink of sleep over it. I'll do it there.
I was in there once. I was
Yeah.
in there once. I could
You
get
could-
back in.
You could have
Probably not. No, but
you could have real fun with it, like Elon Musk did when he takes over Twitter. You know, just start making them beg for their jobs. Like, okay, what do you do here exactly? Why shouldn't I fire you? Just have them line up, come to you, and beg,
All right,
and then you fire them anyway.
guys. We've gone nearly an hour and a half, and we're still talking about the fucking bias brainwashing.
Yeah, sorry, I expected that to be a little quick last question.
So maybe, Mertian, did you have something you wanted to talk about this week?
I did. I've been thinking a lot about the Green Party after the Gorton and Denton by-election this week. I've been thinking it wasn't just sectarian voting. The way they got in, that was they did some very good online campaigning from their part. Whether we agree with their campaigning, but just admiring the way they did it. And I just wonder how much of a force the Green Party are going to become, and do we need to start worrying about them?
well, they rage bait. The thing there is, the Green Party know how to rage bait the right or sort of rage bait reform people, and reform just lap it up, like the sort of stupid gammons that they tend to the gammon stereotype they lean into. And the thing there is, like, anybody else probably could have won. Matt Goodwin, while he was whinging about fucking socialism in Britain, was writing for the Pimlico. I'm not even joking. Writing a Pimlico article the next day, which is a famous Fabian news outlet. So, quite frankly, I am glad that he didn't win.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that reform. I don't care if okay, she's a Green Party member, MP, plumber, and she's complete and utter lunatic. I'd rather take the green lunatic over the establishment, sort of con artist.
That seat, whoever won it, it makes zero difference because there's just not. It doesn't change the balance of power at all. Labour's still in charge of everything. So the fact that we have that optics loss for reform just being shit is the best outcome we could have had.
Yeah. Any other reform?
Can I just say, guys? I think the Green Party are very easy to counter, particularly for a real right-wing party, because what you do is, I don't know, Alan agrees with this because we've spoken about this on the stream before. You talk about real conservation in the country, like leaving green spaces and to protecting your wildlife and all this kind of stuff. You do that, but at the same time, you point out to all the normies who look at their bills that basically what the Green Party want to do is they want to make Britain and all Western nations, to be honest, poor countries. And they want to do it by sending your energy bills through the roof. There's no limit to how much they want to charge you for electricity, gas, power, energy. There's no limit to it.
So
I think most people will stand for that if they understand it.
In the 2024 election, the Greens won North Herefordshire, which is just a very white rural area, and they did it by the campaign in there. They just dropped all of the wackiness, and they just focused on proper actual natural conserving the environment and stuff.
Let's talk, Tharium, about the wind turbines, right? Which are very expensive and which kill hundreds of thousands of birds and bats every year. Let's talk about the solar panel farms, which basically turn areas of the English or British countryside into a desert where even a cockroach can't survive.
And the thing there is, Matt Goodwin, if you look at the actual campaigns when they did sit down in these debates, he just was banging on about English identity. And the thing there is, he can't even define what English person is. So of course, if in that debate, the Green Party candidate and some crazy transgender and the Labour Greek woman, people who are quite frankly, you could easily just discount and easily win any sort of a conversation with. If you were arguing from an honest point of view, which he wasn't, he was just going, crazy commies and English identity, culturally British and everything. They just tore him apart because they were like saying, what do you mean? What's an English person? And he couldn't define it. And he made himself, and he looked like a complete and utter moron in front of the sort of crowd viewing it.
His response.
I still bring that up all the time as well.
Yeah. His response also at the end of it, the election, losing, he goes, it was family voting. And so what? Reform think that there's just hordes of Muslim women who are just gagging to vote for Matt Goodwin, but their mean husbands didn't allow them. What the fuck is this?
Not to mention, everyone knows it, but Reform were just talking about it as though it's a surprise, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
He spent his campaigning days. I did a breakdown stream on my channel of the areas of voting, and he was campaigning in wards where the white population was below 20%. And he wasn't in the wards where the white English population was excessive, 90% or what have you.
They took them for granted, as they always fucking do, every goddamn time. And so people just go, fuck it. No, I'm 47% turnout.
Yeah, and the thing is, as well, is that I actually still think, despite that, Reform actually did surprisingly well in that area. So, a lot of people were saying, they could never win in that seat. They should have not bothered. And it's like, well, actually, that kind of shows those places are still winnable.
They could have won.
It takes a very particular kind of strategy, and it takes some real grafting. But yeah, they could have done it.
All Matt Goodwin needs to do is just be a bit more sort of nativist and not picture himself with Sikh people, and it wasn't that hard to do.
But you know as well as I do, and I know Tharium does, and I'm sure everyone else on the panel does, that immediately after that by-election, the gay chairman of Reform, and he literally is gay, was on TV being interviewed by a black guy disavowing Goodwin for being too racist.
Yeah. I mean, you just couldn't make this up. And the other thing which was absolutely ridiculous was that Matt Goodwin used the last 2 days of his campaign to attack online Annans, anonymous accounts, for actually wanting him to talk about demographic change, like actual demographic change. And he was like, and they said, like, just don't do the whole counter jihad to talk about Muslims, just talk about all people who are just not English. And he just spurred out like some absolute, quite similar to Ben Habib, by the way, but that's a separate story. And yeah, and so if you were living in that constituency and actually like thinking of voting reform, I reckon there were probably a lot of people, I mean, whether or not they saw it, but they probably weren't that enthused when it came to him. I mean,
God, how could you be? How could you be?
But guys,
we talked about this beforehand.
But guys, can we please confirm, right, that Matt Goodwin, according to the chairman of Reform, was too racist?
Yeah.
That's why he didn't win.
Which I thought this is definitely going to happen. When Reform, I thought Reform's definitely going to lose, and they're definitely going to say, "Oh dear, we've got to appeal to the Browns more."
That's always the go-to response. Always.
Well, they always learn the wrong lessons. It's the same like the Tories. You just learn the wrong lessons throughout history. I mean, God,
well,
was it like 70 years?
Reform are the teal Tories. They just are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if anyone else read that Jacques article that I put in my Discord. It was very much of a slog.
Yeah, I had a quick click through it.
Yeah, and it was a massive slog, very repetitive, and he just kept saying, "Oh well," it basically and the main argument of Restore shouldn't be supported is they might push Reform to have to ally with the Tories, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, say have to, say have to, like, as well, but won't be enthusiastic. I mean, you have Z Yusuf talking on Sky News a while back, saying, "Oh well, we might have to do a patriotic alliance against the left," and you've got, and it's like, sorry, like, you can't tell me that Reform aren't somehow like amenable to the Tories at this point, when we literally got Nadine Zahawi and Nadine Dorris who wanted Boris back in.
Yeah, I've got to say something here, guys. Right, and this goes back 2 years probably. I remember being dubious about Ben Habib, right, and being told by more than one person on my Discord, "No, Ben Habib's okay. He's a good bloke." Do we still think that, or maybe was my first instinct correct?
Not although I will say,
first instinct.
Yeah, I will say I did enjoy his interviews on GB News, because every interview I've seen of him up until recently, he seemed quite solid on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Restore came to fruition. I think it just broke his brain. And Restore seems to be showing people that when they're put under pressure, how much they'll attack from the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with Ben Habib, I mean, he created Advance basically just because it's one of the things where he just constantly kept complaining about Reform. And it's one of the things where you go, I understand, like, Restore can at times post against Reform, but I would say Restore, they're not created purely out of spite, like they are created sincerely. Whereas with Ben Habib, he's just spiteful moron. Like, he just, and like, even like he said like a year ago or so, like, oh, he created a party so that Rupert could take over. But when Rupert creates his own party and he's expected to fold in as his end of the deal that he swore to ages ago, he reneges on it because, well, he doesn't get to be also the pretty girl of a prom. Like, he doesn't, and it's just
I mean, it felt like it felt a bit like. So it felt a bit like he wanted Restore to fold into Advance. That's not happening, Ben.
Well, it's ridiculous because Advance, number one, Advance has been around for I think a couple of years now, or a year at least. It's had literally no momentum behind it. I mean, I think Carl at Lotus Eaters pushed it, but apart from that, even he had to sort of back away from it, because if you remember, the board of Advance was like you had like one atheist Somalian woman, and then you had like
Yeah.
some random Africans, some random Arab guy, including not just Ben, and it's like, and then you had like that black mixed race teacher that's like the strictest headmistress in Britain, and it's like okay, so there's literally no British people, and then when you met people and you go around London, and again you'd just be talking to, even Boris Wave types. It's like okay, so this isn't a party for Britain, then this is this is just like some,
Look at our base
yeah,
grounds again. That shit
yeah.
again.
Well, it's basically like this is the new British, the paper British party, is what it is. And of course, well, you got the Green Party, you got the Labour Party, you got the Tories, you got Reform, you got all the Celtic nationalist parties. You got all the parties which are for those people. So why would you need? Of course, Advance would go nowhere.
But you can't have a pro-English party, William, because
No.
somehow that's uniquely bad. You can
But
have
have you noticed?
Scottish nationalists, you can have
Yeah.
Irish nationalists, you can have Welsh nationalists, but you can't have English nationalists.
Well, there
And
is
you
some
can't
of this
have
that is
British
actually
nationalists either.
there
But
is
the thing
actually
is,
some of this which is slightly procedural though.
But with on that point, Duke, though, when you take a look at the people at Restore and around Rupert, as soon as they started actually talking about, the true English and actual like a party which is dedicated to the British people, who came out and counter-signal it apart from, those on the left? Because the left weren't really that visible on that. They just sort of, write them off. It was the likes of Tommy Robinson and that network that came out publicly to
100%.
humiliate them and to browbeat them back
Didn't
into the
work. It
fold.
didn't work, but they tried to. Yes, for sure.
They
In fact,
tried
on that note, William, what the left did is they're still attacking reform. The Restore isn't even on their radar yet.
No, because this the thing, and this is the Fabian playbook. When we did the stream with Aaron Hook and everything, if you remember from that Fabian playbook, the Fabians, which is what the system, like a system got, the left will and the right is like the pantomime, but anything out that exists out that this is where containment from your own side comes in. The BNP was always attacked back in the day. I mean, yeah, you had the Labour Party and the Blairites, but it'd be the Tories, or it'd be Tommy Robinson, or even Nigel Farage, who was like the main vector of attack against the BNP back in the day when there was internally themselves. Look at Restore today. The people who are attacking that, you got that Pete McCormack, you've got Ben Habib, you got Tommy Robinson, who's been trying to. First, he tried to join up from within and influence from in, and then started kicking off when you had the people who set up, who were like the I guess like the coordinators of the inner party, weren't weren't
What about
signaling
my
in the
mate
right
Football?
direction. Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. And so for the last like week and a bit, it's been there's been this trying to do this humiliation ritual, and how that plays out, I don't know yet. But this is the thing. Until this is how the playbook operates with the Fabians: is they will use the right to contain the right, and they will use their own left to contain their own left wing. I mean, if you look at your party, for example, that is. I mean, you could say if you compare the two, like the actual foundations of Rupert's party and their party, I think Rupert's have had a bit more success than your party. I don't know if it has been as
Tommy's a straight
chaotic.
up. Listen, Tommy Robinson is a straight up Zionist, and that's all there needs to be said about him. Right? He's bought and paid for, and that should be obvious to anyone with a working brain. On the other hand, I would argue that reform, Nigel Farage and Zia Yusuf's party, that's not a right-wing party. All that party is there to do is to replace the totally failed and fucked up so-called conservatives. That's all it's there to do. It's total containment.
it's funny because what William was that really resonated with me, what you were just saying there, William, because like it seems like the establishment are now changing from Labour and putting all the focus on the Green Party, and the Green Party on the paper is not much different to your party, really. So what is it about the establishment that they're happy with the Green Party? And obviously,
Well,
the establishment are happy with the reform as well. It's like they're moving from Tories and Labour, moving to
Well,
Reform
Well,
and Green.
it's
the
just a
Green
name
Party to
change.
actually
Mercian, if you want to know how happy the establishment is with the Green Pie and Just Stop Oil, which is just really an offshoot of the Greens, they can smash in the case above Magna Carta. They can put spray paint all over Stonehenge, and nothing happens to them. Nothing. They don't get 3 months even.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, as well, the Green Party actually does function as an actual party. Like, it's actually an operating. Like, you look at the Gorton and Denton by-election. They had the Allahu Akbar councillor. I can't remember his name. I think I actually have it written down somewhere.
Yeah, he's like the deputy he's like the deputy Green Party, or was he chairman or something like that. He has quite a senior role in the Green Party.
Yeah, and
but
he shouts out "God is great" in Arabic.
Well,
Great.
not now though. He doesn't. He did, but now he shows up in a flat cap, and and he has that whole sort of spiel going for him. So it's like they have certain OPSEC and messaging, whereas your party seems to be the place where they sort of like they went and penned in all of the the complete dysfunctional retards that just pull the side down.
Yeah. I mean,
tell me something, guys. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, William, because I think this is quite important. What are the chances that in 10 years Labour will be replaced largely by the Greens, and the Conservatives will be replaced largely by Reform? Because I think that's quite likely, actually.
I think the Green Party, yes. I don't think Reform, because the thing there is, you can astroturf Reform to a point, but even among their most passive voter base, there's no genuine desire or will.
No. William, I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying they'll be the government. I'm saying they will replace the Conservatives as they are today.
Oh yes, they probably will. In that rate, yes, they would. They would be the party on the centre right. The Greens will move to the centre left. You'll have the Lib Dems probably still in the centre, and as Bowden once said, and they'll be like the transgender trio, interchanging ideas and views between all three, because that's what the system wants.
That was my point on him. That was my point. Like I said, I desperately hope that Restore Britain will be the right-wing party, but I think what we're going to see is the Greens and Reform becoming the modern equivalents of Labour and the so-called Conservatives. The new party is just the same as the old party. Basically.
That is the plan, I'm sure.
I mean, there is a very bad option. There's the terrible scenario where I guess Restore Britain could also be the right-wing version of what the establishment doing to the Green Party, where we're the ones led down the garden path, and we all have like fell for it again award. I don't think so.
I haven't seen that, William. I like really, not only from Rupert Lowe himself, who seems genuine as far as I can tell. He's a rich dude. He doesn't need this shit. He's a little bit. He's I don't know, 7-8 years older than me, right? And if I was his age and a very rich man, I'd probably just go enjoy myself for the last 10 or 15 years of my life.
I would say, to counteract my own point though, his first two big obstacles, which he somewhat overcome. One was Ben Habib. It's quite clear that if he allowed Ben Habib in, Ben Habib would have destroyed Restore from within with his own like personal agenda, and it would have been a complete and utter fiasco. And also keeping Tommy and his crowd of foreign interest outside the party. That is something which, and then look, and I said this on a Twitter Hangout space the other week, a week ago now. I said there will be a point with Restore where you'll have a Restore councillor who'll probably be non-white, because like with the BNP, you can't have a political party which is breaks race relation laws. So you will have like your odd like Sikh or something like that in there. Unfortunately, that's just going to happen. But one thing you can do, and what Rupert can do, is the inner function of the party. So if you think about the pyramid where you got Rupert on top, and then you have the all the way down, like different roles, you can make sure that the top of the party isn't controlled. Like you're not going to have a Zia Yusuf, you're not going to have David Bull or some other like or some other moron who is in the bag for another foreign nation.
William, 100% agree with that. But can I ask something else, all right? Which is carrying on from Mertian's point. And guys, we might not get to everyone's topic today because we've just taken so long on the BBC.
I don't have one. Don't worry.
Well, good. But anyway, can I ask people, did they watch the Lotus Eaters show with Carl Benjamin and the Greek dude last week?
No.
Yeah.
Where
I haven't, no.
I did put it up on the Discord. And they were talking about Rupert Lowe. And
it's Stelios.
There was yes, that guy, who I don't mind, but he's very much a liberal. Like he's more liberal than Carl used to be when he was Sargon still, But anyway, they were talking about an interview which the young chap in Restore Britain, who I like, did, and he was talking to this black woman probably on the BBC, I think, who claimed to be a Geordie.
Yeah.
Because she was born in Newcastle.
GB News.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you.
Nana Akini or whatever her name is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, this black woman, who plainly isn't English because she's black, and you can't be English and black. I'm sorry.
And very black. It's not. It's not like some of these American blacks. They're like 25% white. No, this is total African.
Yeah, both her parents were born in Ghana, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was Ghana.
Yeah, I think so.
And she claimed to be a Geordie, and I'm sorry, she's not a Geordie. She's just not. She might have been born in Newcastle. She might even have a slight Geordie accent, but that doesn't make her a Geordie.
Yeah,
to be a Geordie, you've got to be a Newcastle person who's been there for generations.
Yeah, she does charity work in Ghana as well, where her ancestors are from.
Yep, she does. She does. You're right. But I was a little bit worried by that show. Not because of the Ghanaian woman, because of course she's going to come out with this crap. That's what all of these people come out with. Like if I claim to be a Ghanaian just because I was born in Ghana, she would call me a liar and say, no, you're a white English guy. But she's a black Ghanaian woman who happened to be born in Newcastle, so therefore somehow she's a Geordie. Okay. Absolute bollocks. I'm sorry. But, like Rudyard Kipling was born in India, didn't make him an Indian. But anyway, what worried me about that stream was that you could see that Carl was really worried to some degree that Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain might start being a little bit more radically pro-real Anglo-Celtic British people. That worried me a bit. Dominus Diabolus is saying in the chat, Tolkien was born in South Africa. Yes, good point. He wasn't a South African though; he was an Englishman born in South Africa. But anyway,
you are right, and I've noticed that Carl on. I mean, we won't talk about the ongoings in Iran and everything, with the whole conflict that's got going on now, but Carl is trying to balance between all aspects of online political scenes, right? He's doing this balancing act, and for some reason he still has this affinity for um Tommy and
yeah.
that crowd. And look, I'm going to be honest. I think Carl is paid up. I think he is paid.
I don't think so. I mean, a
I,
lot of
I think
the other people at the Lotus Eaters, they're not like Tommy fans. I think Sargon's thing is just
thank you, Farium. I totally agree with you.
yeah. I
Many
think
of the other guys, like Bo, is absolutely
yeah.
sound as far as I'm concerned.
I think
Dan is I think pretty much sound. I really do. And several of the other guys there are also
Yeah.
very sound.
so. I think Sargon's thing is just he's just one of these people who just always tries to see the good in everyone.
Yeah, plus he's got a history. Tommy was one of the first to interview him, so like I think they're good buddies through their
maybe.
histories together.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. You may be right. It's just, yeah, you're probably right in that regard. It is like, you know, that sort of connection to it. But I think the problem that you've got is, you know, it's kind of like this thing. You can't please everyone all the time,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you do have to, you know, pick a side, make a stand. And the thing is, Tommy has, particularly in more recent weeks, has clearly, you know, he is clear. He says he is in favour of ethno-nationalism for one nation and one nation alone. And the thing there is, you can't serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters, and that is clear at the moment. Now, and the reason why Rupert is the reason why he's had to do this is because we've had so many people on the right who've basically been captured and basically and just, you know, aren't serious. And this is just the Restore Britain is just a reaction to the state of Britain as it is today.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say Bo Dade has been on this stream, so I'm a fan of Bo. He's a good guy, and I really like Dan and several other people on the Lotus Eaters who have been mentioned in the chat that I put up on the screen. But yeah, I think Sargon could maybe waver under certain circumstances, but I don't know what you guys think of that.
I don't think. I think he'd go the other way. Yeah, the thing is, he does also have more of the eye of Sauron on him than like any of us, and it's not just his own YouTube; it is his business as well. But that employs other people, so he's got to think about them. So he does have to be more moderated in what he says.
And again, I think he's got a lot of history with Tommy. Like, he did that million-person rally in London, and he did a stream the other day where someone asked him about, like, would he do it for Tommy again? And he says, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. You know,
I mean, he says it himself, like, he likes everyone, like, basically in the entire online right of all the factions. He just seems to be one of these people who just likes everyone.
Well, look, I agree with not punching right, and I try not to do it. I really do. I try quite hard as well these days. But yeah, I if anything, I think Rupert Lowe needs to go further to the right. He doesn't need to moderate his position. Not at all.
Do you think, and this is, I don't know, because this is like behind closed doors sort of thing, do you think Carl can, I'm because Carl, he's intelligent. He is an intelligent guy. He's probably one of the most intelligent guys when it comes to critical thought. I'm certain he must be able to see the contradiction when it comes to because the most obvious one for me with Tommy, and this is like where I think most of us have, where we sort of woke up to him or realized with him at some point. Okay, he will attack you if you criticize his Sikh or Hindu friend or whatever because of counter jihad reason. Ethnic nationalism is evil. It's unchristian. It's evil. But then it's okay for
Except in Israel, it's not
yeah.
evil in Israel though.
And I'm Carl. He must be able to see that contradiction within Tommy. Now, forget Tommy as a person, and I don't know what he's like as a person, and I from what I understand, heard from other people, it's not someone, whatever. But the thing though is that alone, for me, without any personal attacks on him or his character, that is something which is the main criticism of people who are Zionists today from all people, because it is one massive obvious problem that they can't really come up with. They either retreat into some biblical justification, which is again not an it's not an argument. It's not a valid argument in any idea, in any respect.
William, you saw, I know you did, because we all saw it, when Tommy Robinson, which of course is not his real name, but Tommy Robinson, was sitting there next to some rabbi in Israel, looking like a small boy being slagged off by his headmaster because this rabbi was trying to claim that the British didn't help Israel back in the day. Back when they were hanging British sergeants who they'd captured. Jewish terrorists were hanging captured British sergeants, and they were blowing up British women and children in the King David Hotel because Israel's such a good place.
I can imagine maybe with Sargon, the thing is, he's trying to just tap into like the Tommy network and sort of access that, because I mean, like you say, the people he works with every day know full well what Tommy's like, so he can't be unaware of it. He goes to these, like, Tommy can pull big rallies, right? We can't deny that.
Can I just say good night to Alman. Alman is a working dude. He's got a pretty serious job, and he has to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Thank you very much for joining us, Alman. You're always most welcome, mate.
Yeah, but on the whole Tommy Robinson thing, so I was quite a fan until people started pointing out the whole Israeli stuff, and I like to give them the benefit of the doubt on many things. The way I like to think of it is, is Tommy capable of being a force for good outside of the Israel thing? And I think he can be. And I'd rather just sort of offer a mild criticism than excommunicado.
More than a mild criticism.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, but Mercian, with all due respect, you're a very nice guy, right? And I'm not. I'm a bit of an arsehole, I have to say. I am. Whereas you're a very nice man. And I've got to say, all right, so even if you leave aside the Sikh bit and the Hindu bit, and then you leave aside the obvious large amounts of money coming from Zionist sources, you've then got to look at the cocaine and all other stuff, which, all right, is not proven, but it's pretty fucking obvious.
I think the thing with Tommy is a large amount of the public, they've just projected onto him what they want. They project their own beliefs onto him. They're not paying attention, so they don't know any like the all the Zionist crap and my mate Footlong crap.
Yeah,
It's
they've done the whole football lads bit, you know.
yeah, it's like Tommy Robinson is the racist English lad that the government hates, so I like him,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of his sort of base are stuck at.
No, his origin story, his origin story, originally was very compelling because you had it was in Luton, and there was a regiment coming back from Iraq, and they were doing this parade through Luton, and you had some local Islamists. I think it was like it's like that. I think it's more like the band group that preacher Chowdhury was part of, and they were demonstrating and hurling abuse and chucking things at the troops that are going past. And the canon story. Now I don't know. I'm not saying this is how it went down, but this is the canon story. Is you had Tommy Robinson at this time who organised some counter demo, and a lot of the people at the counter demo at the time were BNP activists, because this was very early on, and I think this may have been a time when he was in the BNP, or he was briefly in the BNP. I don't know the actual dates on this, but this was at a time where this was a story, and then suddenly you had like more counter demos, and then like, you had these split, and then you had as someone put in chat, the English Zionist Defense League, and then the Zionist bit was dropped because its inception
but the
was
money wasn't though.
Yes.
Imagine calling yourself. Imagine calling
Imagine
yourself
yourself.
that.
I think Tommy has the same problem as Reform. I feel like he's trying to appeal to the left of him all the time.
You've also got to remember, Mercian, that Tommy Robinson was fairly deeply involved with Lucy Brown, right? Who was one of these media women, kind of cute, which made her popular, but she was also kind of involved with Lauren Southern, and Lauren Southern, of course, ended up marrying a literal Fed from Australia, and then getting divorced from him. And Lucy Brown and Lauren Southern were both involved with two gay filmmakers. Yeah. Do you guys know this backstory? I'm sort of some of you do.
No.
I heard. I didn't know who Lucy Brown was, but I heard about Lauren Southern. I knew about the whole Fed stuff. I'm
confusing Lucy Brown with Stacey Dooley as well, because he knew Stacey Dooley as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't even know who Stacey Dooley is. Lucy Brown was a filmmaker.
She was a BBC reporter. She actually made the BBC documentary about the Islamisation of Luton back 20-15 years ago.
Yeah, Lucy Brown was much younger than that.
Yeah.
Wait, Stacey Dooley did that? Isn't she like a raging shitlib?
Stacey Dooley did she was from Luton. I think so. She did the
Isn't she like the typical raging BBC shitlib?
Yeah, she is. But the thing is, at that time,
they should kind of tell you who these people are. They should tell you.
At the time, the BBC did flirt with the counter jihad stuff. I remember it very clearly back then.
Remember when, like we were talking about propaganda earlier? Do you remember that the Three Girls series they did about rape gangs? And that
radicalized, which they have since very thoroughly hidden. By the way. But let's also remember, Lauren Southern got her big break working for who? Rebel Media in Canada. Yeah. And Rebel Media in Canada is a totally Zionist organization. And who are the people who spend a lot of time whenever Stephen Yaxley Lennon, i.e. Tommy Robinson, gets put into jail by the idiot British government, who spends a lot of time trying to raise money to get him out of prison. It's rebel media.
I'd still like if I was Tommy Robinson, I'd still be really pissed off. You know, I'm giving these people everything, and it's like, can you at least keep me out of prison for a bit? And they just don't. Backstabbing little traitors. Why are you selling out to them, Tommy? They don't help you one bit.
Hang on a sec. Aaron Hookie's saying 3 Goals Hidden is on iPlayer. He ain't on YouTube, Aaron, all right? Mate, I'm not your enemy. I don't know where you think I am, but anyway.
I know the BBC did say like they'd never be making anything like that again after the guy.
They did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did indeed. And didn't Lauren Southern sleep with half the alt-right? Yes, apparently she did. But there was one. She didn't sleep with all the, not only with all the alt-right, she also slept with some of the people on the left.
Yeah.
Like I think Destiny. I think.
I mean that's common at a lot of these online sort of right-wing conservative personalities. They do a big conference preaching about Jesus this and that, and then they go and have their cocaine orgies once the cameras are off.
Well, it's pretty typical of women on the right. I don't think.
Well, the men are the same. A lot of these like online sort of personalities.
Really?
It's like more massive. Yeah. Milo Yiannopoulos used to host these parties. It was like one massive gay fest half the time. It was ridiculous.
But that was when he was married to the black guy, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
I say married in air quotes because I don't really believe in gay marriage. But
I mean, the thing is, when you look at like the history of the right, even after like the online right, I mean, a lot of it has just been like it's worse than most leftist groups, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want about like Corbyn and go, but
yeah, and it's like at least like with the leftists, there isn't.
Hang on, say what you like about Corbyn. Corbyn had an affair with that enormously fat black woman. What's her name?
But one of the things Corbyn has is at least
what's her name? I'm trying to remember.
Diane Abbott.
Diane Abbott. Just imagine poor little tiny Corbyn stuffed under Diane Abbott. I mean, if that don't make you laugh, nothing will.
I mean, at least with like the left, they're not being hypocritical when they have cocaine orgies. Whereas, like, you know, the Jesus loves me lot. Well, come on, what are you playing at now?
Yeah, no, I agree. Mitch, did you have a topic you wanted to talk about?
Which
what are you thinking, Mitch? Can I just wrap up my segment by sort of saying?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you.
No. I'll wrap it up. Mitch, you have a quick think, and I'll just wrap it up by sort of saying about the Green Party from our discussions earlier. So, what we're predicting next from the Green is that now they're going to start policing their radicals to get to the centre.
That would be sensible for them.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about like Layla Cunningham having a meltdown more than she usually is. But so this was at a London council meeting.
I wasn't going to tell you, Lord Mayor. Unlike the other side, I don't talk
Will you please use sensible language and not swear in this council chamber?
I wouldn't.
Oh god, that woman's got no decorum. Get out of here. I'm sorry. Do you know what? I mean, okay, I know I swear and we swear on this, but if you're in a council chamber or any sort of like thing, you show enough respect just to be, to not swear and not behave like some daft bimbo. Yeah, brown-eyed or daft bimbo or loud or whatever if you're a man. I mean, yeah, disgraceful behavior. I mean, this is the thing, is that they think that this... God, what was it? what was it, early 2000s culture, you know, like swearing and everything. It was it
Yeah.
was seen as like some sort of like social, breaking a social British taboo and all that sort of stuff, bit edgy. Jonathan Pye sort of bollocks, that sort of thing. But it's not. It's cringe. It's disrespectful, and quite frankly, yeah, I just hate it. It's degrading. It's unprofessional. Um, show some respect and have some self decorum. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
The thing, like,
I
go
heard
on.
it was. I heard it was something like that in the council. I think someone brought up like Muslim block voting, and then she just went off of rails after that. That was
Oh,
weird.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
What, in defense of it or like against it?
In defense of it, probably.
How
Yeah,
dare
'cause
you
apparently-
suggest?
Yeah, apparently
Yeah.
someone mentioned her family in the same sentence.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
she
I
went off
bet.
rails.
The one thing about her that confuses me the most is that all the people who say she's hot, when she's just got this really bad Habsburg jaw thing going on.
Well, yeah, I would. It's not very much Habsburg. It's more. It's,
Well,
it's more
look,
like
inbreeding,
Balochistan-y jaw thing going on.
inbreeding's inbreeding, okay?
Yeah.
Women are not supposed to have big jaws, I gotta tell you. Blokes, yes, we can get away with that, but not women.
Tell you what, Andrew. When I find the lost Amazonian tribe somewhere in the Russian steppes, I'll prove you all wrong.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that'd be the Scythians, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it'd be some
I
Scythian
think
tribe.
the Scythians were the ones who the Greeks claimed to be Amazons, I believe.
Yeah. I have met
Herodotus and all that stuff.
more recently women who are 6'8".
Ooh.
So I don't know.
Oh
I think
my
destiny.
God.
I mean, think
Destiny.
about how big your children will be with her, though. She will give you these giant conquering warrior sons.
Hey,
Yeah.
Get
look,
in there,
guys, I've got to say, I think that the model Rachel Pizzolaro is extremely beautiful, right? And she's 6 foot tall, and she's got endless legs, and actually a good bod. She's got decent tits and all that stuff, and extremely lovely face. But you know what? If she wore 4-inch heels, she'd be 2 inches taller than me. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, women are getting bigger. That's all I'll say.
Well,
Well,
no, but I mean,
which direction?
tall is okay. I mean, tall,
Yeah.
willowy, and graceful is fine. You know, that's all right. Like I
I
said,
always
I think Rachel Pizzolaro is gorgeous.
I mean, like Ella Fanning. You remember her? Like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, she's all grown up now, and like she is getting bigger. And I don't mean tall as well. I mean, like, bloody hell.
Oh, you know the new Jurassic Park movies. They had that. It's not Todd Howard, the ginger actor.
Dallas
I've
Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah.
never
Well,
watched those films.
no. But one of the things that people have noticed in that is that
yes.
is that so each movie, each one of the new ones, they continue to make less and less money than the last, and that correlates with her getting fatter through each movie. I think that's the cause.
Yeah, her shirt, the character's shirt gets tighter and tighter each.
Was there another Jurassic Park film that had Scarlett Johansson in it? Recently?
That was the most recent one, yeah.
I completely forgot about that one. I haven't seen that one. I think I gave up.
I've never watched it. I've only watched the first 3 Jurassic Park films. Never watched.
I just want to make sure I'm not having a fever dream about that last. Was it come out last year at all? Or was that one?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. It's funny in that one. Apparently, there was, I think, a poster where they had to with Ron Howard's daughter, Dallas Howard, whatever it is. They had to like what was it? CGI her bottom to like a smaller shape because it was just getting too big for like filming scenes.
I will say, Ron Howard has directed some great
Boys, can I ask you, right? Can I ask you, because this seems to be true to me as an old bastard. Are white dudes getting more fond of women with huge fat asses? Because I don't like women. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
don't like the supermodel look from the 2000s.
The cocaine chic. Yeah.
When they look like a teenage boy. Don't like that at all. I like women with women's asses, which are more curved. But I don't like these great big fat ass white girls. I don't get it.
It does seem to be trickling in, and I view the whole thing as a big psyop.
Yeah, I think it's a psyop, even though it's probably the one that I fall for the most.
Women have asked me this sort of thing, and they've asked me what I like about it, and I always say it's not the size, it's the shape.
Yeah, the hips is for me, having hips is different from like just a mound of fat sticking out the back. You know, if you got that like guitar shape from the front.
The hourglass figure is fine. I like that, right? But like
a massive camel hump on the back. Yeah, no,
I don't like that. You're looking like an African girl, basically. I don't like that at all.
There are two types of bottom. There are fat.
There are 10 types of bottom, Mercy.
Well, there's two main types. There's the fatty. Well, there's fake ones. You can get fake ones now, and that look really weird. But there's ones that are like fat, and then there's muscle. It's like muscle every time.
Yeah,
every time. Yes.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, the great love of my life, the late love of my life, she had a beautiful heart-shaped bottom, girl's bottom, woman's bottom. Didn't look like a bloke's, but it wasn't fat and it didn't stick out a million miles, even when she was wearing high heels, you know. But more than a bloke's, yes, of course, she was a girl, you know.
Like the Kim Kardashian thing.
Is there anything about this thing I put on the screen you want to talk about?
Oh, basically, it's just a small. There's a couple of messages from Trump on Truth Social, which are just a bit weird about Iran in regards to us, where it's just like saying, "Oh well, he seems to have personal animosity now towards Starmer," and it's like,
good. Why?
Okay, but Starmer. Okay, if he keeps us out of a war in Iran, that'd be one thing. It'd be a situation where I'd be forced to have to agree with Starmer on something, which I didn't think.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, guys, I've got to tell you this, right? There is no way that Starmer was not told, either by Trump, but even if not by Trump, by MI6, which is British Overseas Intelligence, that America and Israel were going to attack Iran. Okay,
we got was it the Five Eyes? Aren't you? What's it called?
Yes,
the Five Eyes.
It's called Five Eyes.
We would know. I mean, this is the thing. Yeah, if there would have been people in the British establishment and the military intelligence establishment, we knew. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Let me ask this, guys. Why, therefore, is HMS Dragon now a Type 45 destroyer, which is the best thing Britain has to shoot down missiles and drones? Why is it now loading up in a base in England? Why wasn't it loaded up a month ago and sent off to be opposite the base in Cyprus?
I'm not sure how much we did really know. Because it seems no one, even in America, no one seems to have really known.
All right, fair enough. I just don't believe this. All right, William Grenville makes the point about Five Eyes, but even if they tried to hide it from that, there's no way MI6 didn't tell Starmer. No way.
I mean, the thing is, we don't have a
Now, I
navy.
know Starmer did initially not want the Americans to be able to use British bases. And then he said in his weak, gay, feminist way that, they could use them for defensive actions, which is meaningless, of course, in this situation. But any sensible prime minister would have said, just to like save British lives and also not make himself look a cunt, would have said, let's send our best anti-missile and drone asset to be opposite the Crown bases in Cyprus, just in case,
Yeah, and one thing I will say about Cyprus, very quickly on this, because this was going to be my sort of thing. You have
And William, by the way, comes from an RAF family, and I think he spent a lot of his youth on Cyprus. So yeah.
Yeah, at Decalia and Akatiri. So yeah, I know these places very well, and others. You have the two bases, Akatiri being the Air Force base, and Decalia as well. These two sovereign bases, as well as other places of British interest, which I can't really. I won't go into, but you could probably people could probably guess and find out what I'm referring to, where there is a great deal of influence. Now, the thing is, this is a legacy, of course, of the time when Cyprus was a colony. This is an empire legacy. Now, the biggest problem that you got is purely from, take the war and separate, for example, we don't have a military, a navy, or anything else that actually can defend these bases anyway. And we have this really bizarre thing where these sovereign bases have been turned into some sort of, staging ground for NATO. I mean, you got the Hellenic Navy, you got the French Navy, sort of helping in defence of these sovereign bases, which is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And at the same time,
and William, not one single British warship anywhere near the bases. Not one single British warship in the whole Mediterranean.
Yeah, and to make it matters worse, Duke, is that we've actually handed control over Gibraltar partially to Spain. Gibraltar is now duly administrated by Spain and Britain. That's something that story was sort of lost in the Iran conflict story as well.
Yeah, we should do a stream about this stuff, William, at some point. This isn't probably the pace to do it now,
no,
given we're on 2.5 hours. But yes, I agree with you.
But there's a wider thing under Tory and Labour governments recently, is that I think the British establishment is trying to dump off their remaining overseas territories deliberately. I think they want to give the sovereign bases away to NATO or Israel, even, or God knows where.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and the thing there is, our navy is what is it? How many battleships and frigates do we have? What was it, like 11 or something like that?
We haven't had any battleships since 1960, William, but and we haven't had any cruisers since about 1977. But we at the time of the Falklands War in 1982, the Royal Navy had about 70 destroyers and frigates, 70. We now have 11.
11. Yeah.
11.
So, and we're having to seek assistance from the Hellenic Navy. So the Greek Navy, everyone, the Greek, let that sink in. Let me say that again. The Greek Navy has to help us.
I'm a French.
With our spaces. And the French. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, number one, I would, if you're in the Navy now, just pack it in. Pack it in, go home, it's done, Britain's done. I'm sorry, you're being defended by the Greek Navy, we're done. Just pack it all in.
Well, William, I would just say this. I think, as Rupert Lowe has said, and Restore Britain have said, we can build our forces up again, but it's going to take a while. It is.
Yeah. But this is the thing, and when it comes to I think I mean, on the topic of Cyprus, I don't think it was Iran that sent that drone to Akrotiri.
Yeah, they said it's not Iran, but I think like there is like the false flag thing, but it also could have been Hezbollah from Lebanon.
Yeah, I think probably more likely it might have been Hezbollah, or it was trying to draw NATO. The thing is, if you're you're having a lot of NATO countries building up their navies around Cyprus, around the sovereign bases. Now, if there was an occasion where a quote unquote drone attack happened that targeted many NATO countries' naval ships and the sovereign bases, that would then draw them in to this thing. That would draw them in. So that's something I've been thinking about, with the fact that you have all these coalition of NATO.
William, you're not suggesting it could be a certain small country in the Middle East doing a con, are you?
Heaven forbid, Iron Duke. Heaven
forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, they have confirmed that.
Listen, I wouldn't rule that totally out by any means. Not at all.
They have confirmed that the drone did not come from Iran. That hit Cyprus.
Seb of Angels in the chat reminds us about the USS Liberty. Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened.
That never happened. And even if it did happen, I'm sure there was good reason, or there was some misunderstanding.
It was a mistake. All those attacks for hours were a mistake. Of course they were. Listen, I agree with this. Someone was asking us very early in the stream, were we going to talk about the Iran war? Well, I guess we are now. To me, like I said, the idea that there wasn't a Type 45 destroyer there before the fighting started.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's just incompetence or
look at the entire thing.
Bullshit.
The entire operation has been an incompetent mess with no plan whatsoever from like the people actually carrying it out.
You need to understand, Tariam, I don't care what the Americans and Israelis are doing, all right? I only care about people attacking British bases, right? I'm not interested in what Israel and the US is doing. That's their business. But I do care about British bases with British service personnel on them and their families being attacked. And the British government should stop that shit in the best way they can, which would have been to have a Type 45 destroyer there before the fighting started.
I mean, it's only been a couple of drones, right?
I think there were 2 drones that were targeted the base.
How many do you need to hit a classroom of a school? How many do you need?
I'm just saying, like this, this hasn't been a big scale attack on Cyprus.
No. From what I understand, because I saw footage, and because the funny thing, I know actually where it hit roughly. I know roughly from the footage that I've seen. It was like overnight. It was one drone that got through, and it kind of looked like it was targeting the runway. From what I could see, it was targeting a runway. But what's bizarre is that there's another place in Cyprus which is far more, I would say, a bigger target.
Don't give away too much information. No. Please.
But look, there's there. All I'm saying is, I think there may be a big false flag thing happening in Cyprus soon. I have that my
would
spidey sense.
never surprise me, William. Would never surprise.
My spidey sense, everything seems to be focusing on that, and you know, spidey senses tingling quite a bit with that. So
Listen, like I said, my only concern with this is people attacking British places, and the two huge crown bases on Cyprus are British territory. Don't belong to Cyprus; they belong to Britain, and
yeah,
they should be defended. But I
yeah.
think that Sir Two-Tier Keir Starmer is the most anti-British prime minister we've ever had, and I don't even think he's less anti-British than Rishi Sunak, who's Indian. I think he really hates Britain and real British people, and he's just a disgusting cuck, basically.
It's also worth noting there is a contingent of Turkish military, a large contingent in northern Cyprus, and also NATO troops. Sorry, not NATO, UN troops.
Yeah,
UN troops.
the north of Cyprus, the northern third of Cyprus is Turkish.
Yeah, it's not a recognised state.
But it is run by Turkey. And
yeah, it's run by Turkey.
I would point out that when Turkey invaded Cyprus, which I think was in the late 70s, wasn't it? Yeah, it was in the 70s.
It happened while my dad was out there, so I think it would have. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, I think it was 70s. But
yeah,
the point was that the British armed forces in Cyprus were so powerful in those days that the Turks were very careful not to do anything anywhere near the British crown bases. Because had they done so, they would have come unstuck.
They would have lost air superiority. I mean, I remember my dad saying they would have lost air superiority very quickly if there was any targeting very quickly. And any invasion would have...
And there were RAF regiment air defense missile batteries. There were RAF regiment soldiers. There was a brigade of the British Army there. The Turks were very careful to go nowhere near any of the crown bases.
There was a Turkish chap we knew very well from when we used to go between the borders into northern Cyprus. A chap called Halil, and he was in the Turkish military at the time. He always said that the only reason he said Turkey, if the British sovereign bases weren't there, Turkey would have taken the whole island very easily. The only reason there is a Greek Cypriot was because of and the funny thing is because a lot the Greek Cypriots tended to be a bit more anti-British than the Turkish Cypriots, which is quite ironic.
Every time.
Oh yeah, Well, you'll probably remember, William, the EOKA guys. And the the Greek nationalists were the guys who were doing terrorism in Cyprus in the 60s and stuff.
Yeah,
well, even when I was out there, you still had odd attacks. I think the most high-profile one was a Turkish bank manager who was shotgunned in the head. He was dragged out into the street and shotgunned in the head by a IOKA group. They were still operating somewhat, even but they were did what like the
the point I was trying to make, William, is that in the 60s and even in the early 70s, it was the Greek nationalist guys who wanted to get rid of the Brits, not so much the Turks.
Yeah, and the reason why that's right, and the reason why the Turks invaded really was because you had IOKA that went on a spree of massacres against Turkish populations in Cyprus. I mean, yeah, there were reprisals by Turkish nationalist paramilitary groups as well, but it was kind of there was an aspect of an ethnic sort of genocidal mentality to that. Yeah, and you also had the fact you have the many many Greek Cypriots, sorry, who were wanted what was it? Greek unity. Was it Inessa or whatever it's called, to become a province with Greece. And that was another reason why Turkey invaded, because it before in the early 70s it looked like it was going to happen.
But yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, like William's been saying as well as me, in the 70s, the British armed forces on the Crown bases in Cyprus were big enough that Turkey wouldn't have dreamed of attacking them. Whereas today, totally different situation.
You could go on ITN archive. My dad had showed it to me. You can actually see Turkish tanks literally coming up to the actual near enough the entrances of the base and just stop, and even the helicopters stop, and they deliberately go around like the most sort of like around the boundary of the bases, and they do not even go into the proximity, and they are given constant like air and radio warnings that you not to enter British bases because of they just would have been fired upon.
Yeah.
In my
They
opinion, they would have
didn't
been
want
fired upon.
they would have been destroyed if they'd have tried. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Farium,
is that
have people seen enough of your GIF on here?
that's not mine.
So I'll take it off.
Oh, sorry, Mercian, I beg your pardon.
No. It's no. I was making the point that about the quality of the oil.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I've seen some people saying, "Oh, Venezuela can replace all the Gulf oil." No, it can't. Venezuelan oil is shit, and plus they can't just magic up, 20% more of the world production in Venezuela in a week.
But you have to say, Farium, that the timing of this was kind of fortuitous, don't you think?
I don't know. But also, like, Venezuela was shipping
come on,
oil.
Farium.
No. I mean,
don't know.
No,
I mean, give me a break.
Hold it. No, I agree. But the idea that, because this is the cope that some people have, it's like Venezuela can now suddenly account for all the like Middle Eastern oil being taken off the market. But like Venezuela was already shipping oil. They weren't just hoarding it all to themselves.
No, but they're going to ship even more to America now than they
but that takes years to build up.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. But
and also, I think I heard
it's going to help. It's going to.
I think I heard that one of the oil companies they had lined up to take over has just gone. Yeah, no, this is too much effort. This is more trouble than it's worth for us, and they've backed out. So again, this is all just retarded thinking.
They'll just get somebody else to do it.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain why it's important about the difference in quality of the oil?
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
Because what people seem to think, not all oil is created equally. There's different hydrocarbons in each oil, and what Iranian oil will have, or the Gulf oil, it's good for making things like petrol, diesel, any of the smaller chained oil products without using a process called cracking. Venezuelan oil, it's only good for like really long chains like bitumen and making roads with. You're not going to get a lot of petrol and diesel and methane and all the other smaller chain hydrocarbons. Now you can do a process called cracking, but that takes energy, and you really don't want to use a lot of energy making smaller chains out of bigger chains.
Mercian, let me ask you a completely layman question about oil, okay?
Right. Okay.
But it's in two parts. The first part is in World War II, most oil for Western nations, including Britain, by the way, came from either America or Central or South America. Most of it. By that at that stage, most of the Middle Eastern oil was relatively poorly developed, and there was nowhere near as much of it as there is today. Right? That's the first part of my question. Now, I'm sure we need different oils today than we did in 1940 to 1945, but that was the fact. That was where most Western oil came from in World War II. And then on top of that, you have well, what's American oil production like these days, as opposed to that from Central and South America?
I don't know much about the production scales. I would imagine that back in the 1940s, the cracking process wasn't thought of as that much of a burden. I think I'm thinking like the environmental, because basically cracking, what you have to do to crack is you literally got to break.
But does Trump really care about environmental stuff? Like,
Well,
does anyone sensible really care about so-called environmental
Well,
stuff?
it's some of it. You don't want toxic sludge being dumped in all your rivers.
I mean, there's that part, and then you got to think about the energy part. It takes energy to make larger chain hydrocarbons into smaller chain hydrocarbons. That takes energy.
But it takes huge amounts of energy to create wind turbines. But we still do it.
Yeah, but I mean, like I don't want to think of it like an environmental thing.
No,
Think
it's
of it
not.
more like an energy conservation point of view.
Yeah.
It's much more efficient to use oil that already has a lot of petrol and diesel in it.
What about North Sea oil that Britain is refusing to use at the moment?
Well, North Sea oil is much better quality than Venezuelan oil. I'll tell you that much. It's probably in line with American oil. It might even be better than American oil, if I'm honest.
But we are, to point this out to people watching this stream, Britain is refusing to use that at the moment because of green or watermelon green bullshit, basically.
The only explanation I have is a tactical. We're going to try and rid the world of all their resources first. That's the only spin I can put on it.
Even with the Chinese building 100 coal-fired power stations every single year.
Well, that's where it comes unstuck, but because I felt that's what the Thatcherism is sort of like. We'll use the world's resources before we use ours.
Aaron James Hook is, of course, entirely 100% correct here that wind turbines are used for ideological reasons, not business or strategic.
Well,
nothing to do with it.
If you actually look at all, apart from just what runs vehicles, motor vehicles, like fuel, oil is used on wind turbine. It's used in most pharmaceutical products. It's used in agriculture. It's used everything of the modern age today, from what you would think the most mundane thing. It's used. Oil is used, and it's not just about
try making margarine without oil. You'll find it difficult.
Exactly. So there is no alternative. So that's why that's why sorry, but this is what you stick to.
I've said time and time again, we don't have an oil crisis, we have an energy crisis. Because we can synthesize anything we want out of any hydrocarbon. Just takes energy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The World War II mid-century Germans were making oil from coal. Very inefficiently, but they were doing it.
Again, it's energy crisis. If we conquer the energy crisis thing, there's really no problem on Earth.
Aaron James Hook in the chat is saying if Venezuela, and I did think this, by the way, Aaron James Hook, I did. If Venezuela was done as part of the build-up to the current war
Yeah.
of Iran, it would have been done a lot earlier
Yeah.
to get things in place. I would agree with that if I thought the Trump presidency was competent, and I don't.
Yeah. There was
just
nothing
don't.
competent about this one. Yeah.
No, I don't think there was any competence here.
Did you see the memo that Pete Hegseth sent out to soldiers about how this is a holy war and they're going to bring about the third temple and all this shit? It's like literal,
Yes.
like Jewish biblical prophecy shit.
Isn't that the thing? When I was a full-on atheist, and I'm not now, but when I was, I used to hope that what was that thing called when everyone goes to heaven?
The rapture.
The rapture. Yeah.
The rapture. Thank you. I used to put memes out saying, "Oh, the rapture's happened, and all these wanks have gone. Thank God."
Yeah,
But
Pete Hegseth.
I was a full-on atheist back then.
Yeah, but it seems the trying to bring on the rapture is actually part of what's pushed this.
Well, there you go. I mean, the Trump administration, Trump administration and Netanyahu want the rapture.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's mad because one of the things you see them talking about is, oh, those religious nutters in Iran. Look at you lot! Look at you lot! Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! It's just insane. It's insanity. Like people like Lord Salisbury, who was Prime Minister of Britain until 1902 and was the last really good British Prime Minister, who looked at everything from what is the best thing from Britain's point of view. He was the last guy who did that. And he would have looked at people like Trump and Netanyahu and Starmer. And I think he would, if he could see them today, he'd be rolling and spinning in his grave for what morons who are running us today. I mean, really, I just think that is just true. Mitch, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm conscious you haven't said a great deal this evening.
I don't know if you saw that one I shared screen with earlier. This, where basically says the United Kingdom, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's okay, Prime Minister Starmer. We don't need them any longer, but we will remember we don't need people if they join wars after we've already won. And so,
okay.
I saw.
I just say I don't want us to send even one aircraft carrier to the Middle East because our aircraft don't have any standoff weapons, right? And my son is a firearm guy, and our aircraft don't have any standoff weapons. And the Iranians don't have the latest and greatest Russian anti-aircraft weapons, but they have the second best. And our aircraft would have to get far too close to be at all safe doing that shit.
My response is to that post is the ghost of Anthony Eden sends his regards.
But this is like, again, like Trump's attitude here after he's just, the past few months he's been slagging off all the European militaries, saying how shit we are, saying how we don't need them. And then, okay, he goes and starts another war. And it's like, why aren't you not helping us? Oh, Christ almighty, man.
Yeah, look, Tharium, I don't share you and to some degree Mitch's extreme anti-Americanism. I don't.
It's the government. You don't like their government, though, do you?
I don't like their government. There's many good American people. There really are. There's lots.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, their government, fuck them, basically. But then fuck our government too, because Starmer's at least as bad.
I don't I don't know why you have to equivocate though when you because
No,
we
yeah.
can't because it's like, yeah, our government is shit, sure, but that doesn't exonerate Trump from when he said stuff up. It's like
Never
Trump's
makes
gone off the deep end.
me. Listen, Mitch, you must have not heard what we were talking about earlier, because as I said, I don't care about this American-Israeli war against Iran. I'm not especially anti-Iranian. I'm not especially pro-American, and I don't give a fuck about Israel, right? But you know what? I do care that the British Crown bases on Cyprus are not attacked by the enemy with no defense. And so my slag off of Starmer was, why wasn't there a Type 45 destroyer there before the war started? Because
Aaron Huck,
he must have been warned.
Yes, Aaron Huck did say earlier it was because basically the Logs and Miliband and that Attorney General Lord Hermer they're basically saying, look, if you dispatch a destroyer in that neck of woods and help the Americans with this illegal, in the connotations, illegal war with Iran, then we will rebel.
That's just a joke, right? The idea, because there's no
Okay, but
legality.
our government sincerely believes in international law. Like they are that
No,
materialistic.
they don't, Mitch. They pretend they do because it suits them because it makes being anti-British easier.
Our foreign policy over the last 125 years has literally just been us going, oh well, we have to abide by international law. We have to be chivalrous. We have to.
I don't believe our last 125 years is the last 125 years. That's an enormous exaggeration. Right?
Starmer definitely believes in it, though. His whole
oh yeah,
has
but
been.
Then but Starmer also believes in Ukrainian rent boys. So I mean, you know, whatever.
But our government do believe in it, though. Definitely, which is the problem.
Well, they should all be drowned in a barrel of shit, basically. But you know, in Minecraft, of course, YouTube. But you know, detestable people, detestable traitors, and vile people. But the point is, you send the British destroyer there. You don't say, I'm going to join the war against Iran. You just say that destroyer is there to protect British territory, which it would be.
Did I hear that Starmer, like during one of his budgets, said he was going to put more money into military spending at once?
Never. No, you didn't.
I think they did, but it was just shifting around what they counted.
Yeah, it was bollocks. It was going to be in 5 years, maybe, that sort of thing. You know?
I was about to say,
it's all lies.
For the amount of saber rattling that man does, you'd think that'd be a high priority for him.
But listen, guys, if we can't survive against a few very long-range drones from Iran or maybe from Lebanon or wherever they might come from, what chance would we stand against the Russians?
Oh, but that's my point. That's my over point, because I thought when I heard he was going to put money into the military, perhaps misguided.
Yeah, it was a lie, mate. It was a lie. What he actually said was, we might increase our defense spending under certain circumstances if X, Y, and Z happens.
I think on paper they have, but that's only because they shifted like current things that they already are paying for. They shifted that into being categorized as military spending.
The government is supposedly committed to a spending thing which they committed to about 4 years ago. And Starmer just keeps putting it back and putting it back and putting it back. And every 6 months that goes by, the British Armed Forces get weaker and weaker and smaller and weaker.
Someone needs to do something. But I liked Sargon's point about the Krangocracy. I forget the three initials but we'll call them the Krangocracy. If we could just take out the Krangocracy, that's more budget that goes into that Krangocracy than even benefits or any of the pet projects of the government.
Here's an idea, guys. Woodpit has just given me an idea. Britain should start start using the migrants as human shields. We should start putting them in front of our bases. So that if, say, Hezbollah or Iran or even Israel wants to fire at the crown bases in Cyprus, there should be loads of Muslims and Jews there who will get killed. We need to bring in human shields. This is the logic of what Sama does.
Are these Middle Eastern people known for respecting life in their own people?
No, they're not. That's a disadvantage. You see, they're not Anglos, so yeah. But yeah, sure. But anyway, guys, we've been going for 3 hours basically. We need to address our super chats, and we have 4. Okay. First one is from Richard PS for $10 USD, and he just says, "Great show, thank you." Thank you very much, Richard PS. That's most appreciated, mate. Rong Tao Wu for US $5, and Rong Tao Wu is a regular supporter of the channel, says, "Hello to the Grand Cruiser today." Thank you very much, Rong Tao Wu. Much appreciated. Rug Free Trees gives us a bit of a longer one. He's also a regular supporter of this channel, and he, for US $15, says, "Did you guys see the Yarvin interview with McCormack that's going around? Saying basically, well, hang on a minute, guys. You can all address it in a sec. Saying basically the West will turn into Africa. I think he said Brazil, actually, but all right.
I think he said South Africa.
I thought he said Brazil, but all right. Saying basically the West will turn into Africa, and then will be subjected to pogroms. Thoughts? I know he's somewhat a subversive 4 times 2, and the analogy to Africa doesn't really work, but still. All right. Red Free Tree is his point. Guys, what's your view on Red Free Trees?
I'm not a doomer, so I don't think it will happen, but to say it can't is wrong, because I think it is very possible that we could just sleepwalk into that. Just the number that we just basically become South Africa, and then it's too late. I think that you can't sort of just assume that that's not possible.
Agreed.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't think. I like to believe we will fix it before that.
Fortunately, we have a restore party. It's like, you know, I mean, I can't believe anyone watching this wouldn't vote restore, but then I can't believe anyone on the right is genuinely saying reform are going to win, so they need to get my vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, guys, if you think that way, but you need to do better. It's not a game.
Mitch, anything on that one?
I mean, what is there to be said about Curtis Yarvin? I mean, I'm not a fan of him because he's long. My reasons for disliking him are very long-winded, so I'll save it. But I just don't trust him. At the end of the day, you know, he's from the other side of the Atlantic, and a lot of guys from America, they love to doom pill all the time about Europe.
I think he was saying the same about America. I think he was including America in that.
Yeah, but with Americans, I mean, I'm probably going hyperbolic and say, well, Americans generally are pathetic compared to us, because at least we had the riots over Southport. Yeah. What did the Americans do when BLM were literally burning down half the country? Okay, Carl Rittenhouse, with a sending of him a few dollars per man. Okay, whoopie-doo. But they didn't do much. I mean, Trump just let the Chaz thing in Portland happen because Fox News told him, "Oh well, we'll stick it to the progressives." by letting it happen. I was like,
yeah. I mean, they're doing that with New York, aren't they? It's like, oh, we'll let the Zandani, he'll just destroy it, and then, oh my God, isn't there going to be egg on their faces? Oh, they're going to be so embarrassed they voted for the Democrats again.
All I would say, guys, right, and I don't disagree with any of you, Bartholomew Musgrave in the chat is saying without remigration, balkanization is inevitable. But I think remigration is inevitable. I think it's got to happen. It will happen. Now, listen, I really, really, really want to get Steve Laws on this stream because I like Steve Laws, and although I don't totally agree with him, I'm 97% do.
Well, I don't think Steve Laws really agrees with himself. He's just pushing it.
Well, I'm not going to put words in Steve Laws's mouth.
You know what I mean. He's
I do.
Yeah.
Steve Laws does sometimes say, "Aim for Mars and hope you land on the moon."
Yeah, exactly.
But absolutely. But Bartholomew Musgrave, if we don't get remigration, we're sunk.
Yeah,
but
and this is.
I think that's why remigration is inevitable. And the thing is, in Britain, unlike America, you can do that because the immigration into Britain is recent. In fact, I could go further. I could say in Canada and Australia, you can do that because the mass migration into those countries and New Zealand, by the way, is relatively recent. So you can do it. Like Americans can't very realistically get rid of American blacks because they've been there for, I don't know, 250 years. But in Britain and America, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they've only been there at the very most about 50 years. At the most.
But it's like I was saying, I agree with you that it will happen, but don't assume that that's guaranteed. Because that's how people sleepwalk into just doing nothing.
Yeah, no. You're right, Barry. Of course you are. And I don't assume that. And I want to use this stream every single week to push for it. Because it's essential. If we're going to survive, remigration is essential. It's got to happen. And I'm sorry. Do you know what? I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm not going to put anyone in camps. Apart from illegal immigrants, I'll put them in camps, no problem. But the rest of them, all I want is they have to go home. Nothing else. Just leave, go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Restorers put forward is eminently reasonable on this. And I don't know why anyone would have any problem with it.
Yeah.
Even lefties, like you're saying, you want foreign criminals to stay here. And
the fringe, the fringe freaks do, but they don't count for any big numbers.
I believe the vast majority of ordinary British people will be quite happy to see neighbours, if they're Pakistanis who may or may not be involved with child rape gangs, or Somalians, or West Indians, or all the rest of it. They can all go home. They have homes to go to. They can go there.
It's happening in other countries fairly recently. It's happening in Pakistan. It even happened to the English in India. In living memory, Joanna Lumley can attest to this if she wasn't so much of a shit lib.
World War II, mate, millions of people in Europe were moved around at the end of World War II.
Well, last year,
millions and millions.
I mean, just last year, Pakistan got rid of almost 3 million Afghans. That's Pakistanis, right? They're retarded. And they can get rid of 3 million in a year? Come on. That's easy. We can do it easy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, no violence. I don't want anyone to die. The only people I'd put in camps would be illegal migrants. Those guys, they'd be in camps until they were deported. But
some forbidden place off there to Hebrides.
If I had my way on Ascension Island, Mercian, which is a volcanic island in the middle of the South Atlantic, there's no local population. It's just a military base. It's a British island, and the only wildlife is like seals and birds and fish around the outside of it. There's no indigenous wildlife. So you could put up a camp there, load of barbed wire, load of Nissan huts. You give them a doctor and a few nurses and a couple of primary school teachers, and they can spend 6 months or 18 months there if they really want to keep appealing until they're fucked off back to where they came from.
So on that, we had the Shabbat Mahmood paying, saying they're going to pay £10,000 per failed asylum seeker, which is, and I did check, that has been covered on BBC Pigeon advertising this new scheme, of course. But she says that, well, it's actually good value because to house a family of 3 of these so-called refugees, that costs £158,000 a year.
They're not refugees.
No, but I know
economic migrants.
That's why I said so-called, because they were her words. But yeah, like, how the fuck are we spending £158,000 a year on a family of 3, like with this lot?
No, I mean exactly. I'd sooner give all of them. I'd sooner give all of them $5,000 each, every man, woman, and child. Say, there's some money to set up a business when you get home to Pakistan or Somalia, where that's big money.
Yeah, but we can't have the Dane Geld. It's got to be just threat of just it's something they're going to fear if they come here. That's the Dane Geld just encourages them, which is what this £10,000 plan.
No, I think you're misunderstanding me, Thorin. I do that to guys who've been settled here for 1 or 2 generations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, the new guys, no, you just must go home. You're illegal. Yeah. But I want to get rid of the guys who've been settled here for 1 or 2 generations as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if your mother was born here. Don't give a shit. You're still gone.
Yeah.
If you're not Anglo-Celtic white British, you're out of here, basically. I don't want to get rid of every single one, but I would like Britain to get back to 95% British. 95% white Anglo-Celtic British.
I mean, what was that? That was like 1980 or something, wasn't it? About that?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been much beyond that. Yeah, it would have been about 80.
Back when John Major was Prime Minister, we were still at 94% white British.
Yeah.
Another thing, I would like all the white British that have become tax exiles to come back as well. All the ones that are
I'd say that was up to them, Farron. If Britain is a good country, I think a lot of them would come back.
Well, that's what I mean. But like, make it attractive for all the talent we're losing to places like Dubai.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I'd love like young blokes and young British families to think, you know what, Britain's looking pretty good these days. I'm going to take my family back there. That would be great. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with that.
I think it's part of the equation. Like, I mean, losing a lot of talent to overseas.
But you've also got to encourage families you've got to encourage families for a start, but you've also got to encourage families to have 2 or 3 kids, and maybe your missus to stay home and like actually mainly work at raising her children, which is what women are really good at,
There hasn't been a single government plan that's worked for that. I think the only way you get that is just make people's lives better. That's what
and you could give families bigger tax breaks. That would help.
I was about to say tax incentives for one.
Yeah,
that hasn't worked in places like Hungary, I think. But if you just cut taxes, you're going to get like the Dubai lot and stuff. And I think, yeah, it will happen. But also we need it's too crowded at the moment. I feel that's a problem as well. Which
Britain needs a population of maybe 56 million maximum.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yeah.
All right. To go on with our to go on with our super chats, we've also got Garen for $5 USA. Thank you, Garen. Garen's another regular supporter of the channel, and he doesn't say anything. He just says hello. So anyway, thank you, Richard P.S., Rong Tao Wu, Three Trees, and Garen. Your support is very much appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. Really does help. I spend more money on this channel than I make on it. And I'm semi-retired. So there we go. All right, guys. I'm now going to ask Mercian, would you like to plug your channel, sir?
Oh yes. If you go to my Mercian channel, I now stream on Tuesdays. There will be a stream this Tuesday. There wasn't last week. And tune in for that, and feel free to watch a few of the streams and any of my back content. And then hopefully I'll start putting out videos as well, if you can imagine such a thing.
Cool. I will just say that William has had to go off, and this is one of the most British reasons you ever have to go off. I think it's one of the best. William's had to go off because his dog needs a walk, which is perfectly understandable, because when your dog needs a walk, your dog needs a walk. And do check out William Grenville's channel. He's got a very good channel on YouTube. And there'll be a link in the description later on. Tharium, would you like to plug anything, mate?
Well, I'm with Mercian. So I'll be
okay. Mercian, do you want to plug Bree's channel? Because you probably can do that.
Oh, yes. So, I forgot. Yes, so Aubrey put a stream out with a lot of familiar faces. She was trying to help the single right-wing lads to find a wife, and I think she wants to do a part 2 on that. But
and she's also going. I think she's also going to be doing some
quiz shows stuff.
Quiz channels. And
she's doing some quiz shows, and there's talk of doing paranormal and folklore streams, talking about
big
you don't necessarily need to,
Bigfoot, that's here we come. Bigfoot, here we come.
Cryptids, ghosts, UFOs. Like, you don't necessarily have to be a believer. I'm not really a believer, but I find the whole subject interesting from a folklore point of view.
For me, I'm not a believer, but I want to be. I want to see it.
Yeah. Show me something weird.
Yeah. I'd like to believe it, but I can't. Mitch, I believe you've got a channel coming out soon, which is going to look at the American Civil War. Is that right?
Yeah. So on this coming Thursday on the 12th, 9 p.m, I'm going to do a stream of Stonewall Jackson. Then and basically,
Mitch. Sorry to interrupt you. Please invite me on that channel, because I'll join that for Stonewall Jackson, because I like Stonewall Jackson. Good general.
Yeah, so that'll be on Thursday night. 2 weeks after that, on the 26th, I'll do Nathan Bedford Forrest. 2 weeks after that, on the 9th of April, I'll do William T. Sherman. 2 weeks after that, on St. George's Day, I'll do Ulysses Grant. And then in May, I know Mercy, I want to do Reconquista, so I can do that in May. Because I do plan, because I'm once I'm. Because I don't want to burn myself out on the American Civil War, so I'll take a break from that for temporary while, just to do some other stuff.
That will be interesting. Mitch,
can I respond to Bartholomew there? I have seen.
You did spend half
no, but I want to explain.
Talking about half.
I have seen. I have seen grown women just turn into absolute mush looking at pictures of Henry Cavill. Okay.
Yeah,
but you didn't need to do it. Miriam. I don't know why you did it. It was deeply
I was explaining the mind of women when I was doing this stuff. Okay,
it was the meme. It's sort of like every male hobby. It was sort of what you're imagining is Henry Cavill doing said hobby. We even talked.
Yeah, there's this chick on YouTube who I watch sometimes, mainly because she does cute cosplays, and she did Amelia the other week. You know, the AI thing, the AI meme, and she's very cute, and she's had a baby, and she wants another baby, called what's her name, Anna, that Star Wars girl, and she did Amelia the other week, and I only watch her streams because she does cosplays and she's cute. And I don't really watch them. I just watch the cosplay bits. I'm a pervert. Okay. But you know what? And she adores Henry Cavill, and is campaigning for Henry Cavill to be the next 007. And I think he would be a good 007. I mean, he's an Englishman for a start. But yeah, I don't
see
know.
what I mean then?
I still think
a lot of women they just turn into mush about him.
Yeah, I still thought you were a bit gay, man, going on about Henry Cavill.
I was explaining how women think.
Yeah, I
and
know.
They see him and they turn to mush.
Harry, I'm only taking the mickey, mate. But yeah, and I didn't even mention Mercian's nickname from that stream.
You mentioned cosplay there. Does a good tavern wench cosplay? Does that do it for you?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I prefer French maids, to be honest. You know, with the whole gap between the top of the stockings and the bottom of the skirt. I like that, but you know.
I get what you mean. It's the French part that loses me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more the tavern wench. Give me a nice tavern wench.
Yeah, no. My late ex-woman used to do a damn hot French maid, but only because I liked it.
The Japs, they love the French maid.
They do. Yeah. It's one of the good things about the Japanese. There are many, but yeah. There are many. But yeah. All right, guys, we've been going 3 hours and 20 minutes, for God's sake. And half of that was about the Bias Brainwashing Corporation, for God's sake. But yeah, thank you very much to my guests, Adaman and Mercian and Mitch and Thariam and William Grenville. There will be links. Someone's saying, "Oh, you got yellow fever." For someone who's got yellow fever, I've only ever had one Asian girlfriend in my life. But all right, fair enough. But yeah, and you know, I'm a strictly like Japanese person in terms of Asians, to be honest. I mean, I guess some Chinese girls are pretty cute, but yeah. But I don't go into other parts of Asia, really. But anyway, whatever. Forget it. So yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday. And I'm trying to remember what. Oh yeah, Aaron Hook is coming on Wednesday, I believe, and we're going to be doing someone I've wanted to cover for a long time, Joseph Chamberlain. And Joseph Chamberlain is a relative of Neville Chamberlain from World War II, but he's much earlier, in the 1890s, and he was a real believer in imperial federation. Like he was a huge supporter of imperial tariff reform. He was very much against home rule for Ireland, and he was a big-time imperial guy. Like when he joined the Conservatives, he was a liberal imperialist, which used to be called the Limps. And when he joined the Conservatives, because he brought so much support to Lord Salisbury, he could have had any job he wanted in the British cabinet, and he chose to be Colonial Secretary, which was a relatively small job. Like it was not up there with obviously Prime Minister, but with Chancellor of the Exchequer, Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, because they're the big jobs. And he chose to be Colonial Secretary. He was also, by the way, another interesting thing about Joseph Chamberlain, he was in favour of some sort of either a British-German alliance in the 1900s, or at least an understanding. So he was very much against the Entente Cordiale with France and Russia. Didn't support that. He wanted Britain to have some sort of at least an understanding with the Kaiser's Germany. He realised he couldn't do it in the end, by the way, because I know Aaron will correct me if I don't point that out. But he did try and do that. But the Kaiser and his advisors were too damn stupid. But yeah, I've wanted to do Joe Chamberlain for a very long time. So that's our history stream on Wednesday, and I'm quite looking forward to it. And Aaron Hook is our big expert on my Discord on 19th century British politics. So I think Aaron's going to be really interesting on that, and it will be a good stream. Again, thank you to my guests. Go well. And in the meantime, don't let the bastards grind you down.